They say champions respond to challenges. They say Michael Jordan loves challenges. Well, the Knicks have thrown down the latest challenge, winning the first 2 games of this playoff series from the Bulls in New York. You think the game's greatest performer isn't aware that it was a former CBA player named John Starks who took over Game 1?
It's another 3 for John Starks. Starks for 3.
You think Michael Jordan doesn't also know that John Starks has been hustling all over the court, throwing his body at loose balls, and despite a 3-inch height disadvantage, blocking Michael's shots, and with his teammates harassing him into 37% shooting for the series? Remember the last time the Bulls were challenged to this extent? When they faced a game they simply had to win? It was Game 7 against the Knicks last year. Jordan responded with 42 in a convincing Chicago victory. They say that Michael Jordan is acutely aware of his place in history. He's also aware that if they don't win today, the Bulls will just about be history.
This is NBA Showtime with your host, Bob Costas.
There it is, the Madhouse on Madison, Chicago Stadium, site of Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Bulls and the Knicks. Only 2 teams have been perfect at home in these NBA playoffs this year. The Knicks are 7-0. The Bulls are 4-0. Chicago needs to remain perfect if they are to entertain serious hopes of winning a 3rd consecutive NBA title. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas with Quinn Buckner in New York. The insiders Vecsey and Walton will be here shortly. If you're holding a roster sheet, hold those cards and letters as well. We know that John Starks is listed as 6'5", but in truth, everybody around the Knicks will tell you he's much closer to 6'3", so he is giving up about 3 inches to Michael Jordan, but he and his mates have been terrific through the first 2 games in New York. As for Chicago, they can forget about all this talk about Michael making a little excursion to Atlantic City as long as, in about half an hour, they can forget about pit bosses and turn into pit bulls.
Well, I suspect they will be pit bulls because I don't think in the beginning Michael Jordan gave all the credit he should have given to John Starks. Starks has proven that he's a very capable player. I suspect there will be pit bulls in Chicago, and Michael Jordan will be the leader of that group.
Well, in the category of understatement, it's been an eventful week for the 2-time defending champs. A couple of losses to the Knicks, the ejection of Scottie Pippen in Game 2, the complaining by Phil Jackson about the Knicks' physical style, which goes back to last year, and, of course, that much-talked-about visit to an Atlantic City casino by Michael Jordan. On Thursday, before the assembled media that has been covering the Knicks-Bulls series, Jordan gave his version of the trip.
It's attacked in my private life, and I really didn't like it, and I don't agree with it. But I felt a need to come out and express that and tell the truth so you guys can quit hallucinating and taking it further than what it is. You know, and now you know what it is from my standpoint. Anything else that you hear is totally false if it's not to what I just told you. And that's the honest truth. And that's all I can tell you.
Gambling, the second gambling thing that has escalated in a year.
Well, that was on Thursday. Yesterday, following practice, the Bulls players refused to speak with the media, presumably a show of support for Jordan, and what the players feel has been an excess of negative reporting on the team in general. Several players did talk with our NBC crew, although Michael Jordan was not among them. For more on Michael's week, we go to Marv Albert and Mike Fratello standing by in Chicago. Marvelous?
All right, Bob, and this is the scene about an hour and a half ago when Michael Jordan made his way to Chicago Stadium. Michael, intent on ducking questions once again from reporters, did not take his usual route to the Bulls locker room in the bowels of Chicago Stadium. Jordan, who was particularly upset concerning the tone of the questions that he faced on Thursday, as Bob detailed, did come out to take early shooting practice and for the first time declined to talk with us. He did not want to discuss his Atlantic City sojourn. Now, how do the Bulls and Knicks feel about Jordan's side trip? Well, here's a sampling of opinions.
It's unfortunate that it's become an issue, and he's got to explain it away, but I don't think there was anything wrong with it at all.
I stay up to 2:30 in the morning myself, you know, watching TV, you know, and some guys, you know, may like to go out. But like I say, that's his business, and it shouldn't be publicized.
Something like this is overblown, and I think it hurts his reputation, especially with kids, and that's too bad.
He's going to take care of himself, and if he was out that night or not, whatever, he still came to play, and that's all that we're concerned about. And that's all anyone should be concerned about.
I don't think it had anything to do with the outcome of the game.
Off the court, you know, it's his life, you know, let him live it.
It kind of reminded me, and you'll have to excuse this, of when the liberals were trying to get Bork off the Supreme Court, and they went out and found out that he had rented pornography films in his local video store, and they held it against him. The liberal people, that was the kind of journalism that I kind of saw that was slanted as, and you know, there's nothing illegal. He's perfectly of age. He's, you know, there's, you know, what do they want?
Yes, Phil always did have a different perspective on life in general. Mike, even if Jordan did get his 8 hours sleep, symbolically, was this a wrong signal, though, to his teammates to take the trip in terms of the timing of it?
Well, Michael's teammates know Michael and what he's all about. And if this was unusual for him to be out the night before a game, then perhaps it would have been an incorrect signal. But that's not the case. This is a player who has gone out on game day, played 36 holes of golf, yet comes in on game night and does his job for his team. He's been the league's MVP regular season and during the playoffs. He's led them to 2 world championships. He did nothing wrong. He did not break a team rule. He was with his family. He went down to the casinos. He was back and got his 8 hours rest. I think the whole thing has been blown out of proportion. And if Chicago would have won game 2, nobody would have said a word about it.
All right, to another issue. Over the first 2 games, both coaches have been involved in a verbal sparring contest. For more on that, let's go to Hannah Storm.
Well, Marv, the media has borrowed the title of a popular movie and dubbed this the crying game, as Chicago coach Phil Jackson has continued the posturing that he began in last year's Eastern Conference semifinal. Jackson has criticized the New York Knicks style of play, saying, quote, "This is a sport, not a wrestling match." And yesterday, Jackson defended what some perceive as unconstructive whining.
They don't want me to complain about the referee. I mean, that's just a simple reaction. Please, Phil, don't complain about the refereeing because, you know, it's too physical. But it's the only thing you can do is just lobby in that behalf. We cannot play that style of game. That's not how we practice. We don't play ball in our gym, and we don't practice that way. So my attempt is to let's get this game in a different style. Let's get them off with players so we can play our style of game, which we have a chance of playing.
He's looking for preferential treatment, you know. And, you know, he wants the game to be a game of ballet. You know, they want to be ballerinas, they can be ballerinas. You know, we want to be basketball players.
The Knicks have told me that they do expect to get whistled for more fouls this afternoon. After all, they are playing on the road. Meanwhile, Phil Jackson was quite upset with his portrayal in the media as a whiner. That's another reason why the Chicago Bulls failed to meet with the press yesterday afternoon. Now let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Hannah. Charles Oakley and Horace Grant are called Warriors because of their relentless style of play. They do all the things that very seldom make the headlines, like hustling, rebound, tough defense, and it's so important to winning a basketball game. Pat Riley said earlier that the defining moment for the Knicks this year was when Charles Oakley accepted his role for the good of the team. I talked to Charles Oakley. Charles said he accepted that role with a lot of pride. All he tries to do is go out each game and deliver. And as you look at the stats from the first 2 games, he has indeed delivered. In fact, he has out-rebounded Horace Grant 30-10 in the first 2 games. Now, in discussing Horace Grant, you must realize that he's playing on a sore right ankle that has affected his mobility. When I asked him about that, he did not use that as an excuse. He flat out said that Charles Oakley just kicked his butt in the first 2 games. One thing he said that was missing was his fire and his intensity. He's had 2 great days of practice. He says he's got that fire and that intensity back, and he's ready to play. Bob?
Ahmad, thanks a lot. Just following up on what Ahmad said about the Oakley-Grant matchup, and of course, as Ahmad noted, Horace Grant hobbling around, and it's hurt him on the boards. It's hurt him in his ability to contribute defensively when Chicago goes into their press. But combined, Grant, Pippen, and Cartwright have 30 rebounds. That's how many Oakley has through the first 2 games himself, averaging 15 a contest. Now, Game 3 in the Western Conference Final took place last night in Seattle. The Suns and the Supersonics, they split the first 2 in Phoenix, of course, and last night the Suns took charge again with a big assist from the bench and the class of 1981. Danny Ainge calls them the Geezers. Ainge from BYU, Tom Chambers from Utah's class of 81, and Frank Johnson out of Wake Forest. They all came into the NBA the same year. Pick up last night's game in the third quarter, tied at 65. Kevin Johnson goes down and is temporarily forced out with a bruised thigh. Overall, he led the Suns with 20 points and 9 assists. But while he was on the bench, the Suns went on a 12-0 run to start the fourth quarter. Ainge began it with this 3. Frank Johnson, who came off the bench for KJ, hit 3 jumpers during that 12-0 run. And overall, the Suns bench outscored Seattle's reserves 45-11. Now, late in the fourth, Suns up by 4. KJ back in, misses the free throw, but Charles Barkley there for the putback. His only points of the second half. He had 16 points and 16 boards for the game. With under a minute left, the Suns reverse the ball to Dan Marley. He'll hit the tray, sealing the win for Phoenix. They lead the series 2-1.
7.9 gives them a 7-point.
I got one shot in the third quarter, and I missed it, so I was on the roll backwards. You know, but hey, they're making other players beat them. I'm just glad I got enough good players to beat them. You know, they made up their mind that I'm not going to dominate the series.
It's disappointing that we earned that victory there, and then we lose it right back. So that's disappointing. But, you know, the series is by means over. We just need to come out Sunday, tired up, and try to get another opportunity to win down there.
Well, you saw Eddie Johnson 0 for 6 last night, so important off the bench. 20 for his last 79 in the playoffs. They got to get him going. We'll go out to Seattle at halftime of the Knicks-Bulls game, get a report on tomorrow's game between the Sonics and the Suns from Snapper Jones. Coming up after the commercial, the Insiders. Walton and Vecsey join us with playoff opinions from both conference finals. That's next as Showtime continues. Joined now by the Insiders as we say hello to Peter Vecsey and Bill Walton. As a piece of history, it's certainly not unprecedented. 4 times in the past in best-of-7 series, a team has dropped the first 2 and come back to win. Most recently, it happened in the 1977 finals. Bills Blazers against the 76ers. Walton and company dropped the first 2 games in Philadelphia, and then after Maurice Lucas popped Darryl Dawkins and maybe changed the atmosphere of the series, Walton and Bobby Gross, whom you saw on the double team there with Dr. J and all the rest, came back and won the next 4 in a row, as a matter of fact, and took the series in 6. Can it happen for the Bulls here?
It certainly can, Bob. The important thing to remember is that the only games that mean anything in these best-of-7 series are when the road teams win. That hasn't happened yet, but it won't happen unless the Bulls quit whining and complaining about everything and become the aggressors. That's so important. And you mentioned Maurice Lucas. That can never be overlooked. The confidence that he gave our team with that pop to Darryl Dawkins' head was instrumental. Plus, the fans at Portland did never give up on us, and they really carried us through.
Well, I think that there's some truth in what you're saying, but I think the thing that is most odd to me about this is I think what'll turn them on is this thing about Michael Jordan, because what's got to happen is the emotion you talked about where the team has to take us versus them kind of scenario. It's the only way you win in this environment. You can't sit and wait on things to happen for you. You got to make them happen. You definitely must be aggressive.
I think Jordan and the Bulls better be very careful today about letting their emotions get out of hand early. They come out and try and do too much too early. By the time the fourth quarter rolls around, they're not going to have that emotion that'll carry them through.
How much do you begin to doubt yourself, though? After all, they were taken to 7 by surprise a year ago. They lose 3 of 4 in the regular season. These 2 playoff games are really just an extension of the kind of shooting percentages and the kind of physical advantage that the Knicks exerted in the regular season. This doesn't come from out of nowhere. After a while, you begin to say to yourself, these guys are as good as we are, for real.
I don't think they doubt that they're as good as they are, but I think we got to take into consideration they've had a lot of time off, and they're a little bit out of sync. But that's why I think this recent incident has helped put this all back in focus, because that's what you lose when you stay away from the game. You lose that edge, and I think this incident has put the edge back on it for the Bulls.
All right, now, of course, Game 2 of the Knicks and Bulls took place Tuesday night at Madison Square Garden as the Knicks claimed the 2-0 advantage, and unfortunately for Pete Vecsey, he was seated at courtside.
Nice fake on Perdue. Jordan with the save, look out. Mason got it back. Ewing. It counts, and the foul. Well, Peter Vecsey of USA Today and NBC Sports took a shot as Michael Jordan landed in his lap. I think Pete had anything sarcastic to say to Michael as he made contact.
Well, was there time for chit-chat?
No, but as you can plainly see, it was a hairline fracture.
That is every player's dream, to see the sports writer there, to see the referee, the opposing coach, the ball's right there. You just go for that ball. Oh, I'm so sorry. Would you please come back?
If people want to know, did Michael get fined? He got a raise for that one.
A couple incentive clauses kicked in.
Where did he get you?
He got me in the face. He got me in the leg. I thought I was going to have a black eye afterward.
More whining and complaining. Let's get to the action here.
Well, speaking of off-the-court jousting, as we saw earlier, the Suns took a 2-1 lead over the Supersonics last night. It's been reported that Charles Barkley had some confrontations of his own with Seattle fans in this case, and in fact, made some obscene gestures after the game. Barkley was only too happy to talk about it.
Fans think they can say anything to anybody. You're not supposed to say anything, but I don't play that. If they said something to me, there's a 100% chance they're gonna get cursed out. But they didn't pay to talk to me. They didn't pay to do anything. They came to watch the game, cheer for their team. It has nothing to do with talking to other players. If they said something to me, they're gonna get it.
A guy told me a story the other day about John Wayne. He had some friend who saw John Wayne at a stoplight. And look, it's John Wayne. And John Wayne rolled down the window and gave the guy the finger. And the guy, it made his year. He told everybody he met, hey, John Wayne gave me the finger. I mean, you know, Charles is going to interact with the crowd. It's all part of the show. He doesn't mean anybody any harm. They were sure yelling enough against him.
Something for all you kids in the audience.
Once again, Charles Barkley showing immaturity beyond his years.
The fans in Seattle, particularly right behind the bench and along the baseline, are as vicious as any fans in the league, including San Antonio's. But I think Seattle's biggest problem is the fact that they don't play with any style. You can't look at their team and say, as they're coming down the stretch, okay, what are they going to do? Who are they going to give the ball to? That makes it very difficult for them to come back and even try to beat Phoenix. Phoenix comes out, plays, I think, their best game of the playoffs last night. A beautiful game where they lead from start to finish, and they execute down the stretch playing their game. KJ is in complete control of that series.
The other thing that the Sonics run in that really hurt them, they're being led by very young players. Sean Kemp really doesn't have a grasp of what this entire situation is about, and you can't put the load on him to carry it because he doesn't know how to do it. He's never been there. And then if you look at it a little more inside, Eddie Johnson is playing with that bad calf. He's the guy coming off the bench. If he doesn't score, they have no power or no scoring power off the bench, and that's just killed them.
That's exactly right. You're relying on Eddie Johnson and Ricky Pierce from outside. If those guys don't both come through for you, you've got to turn to Gary Payton. You've got Gary Payton now who's scared to death to take a jump shot. Eddie doesn't want to take a jump shot. Then you've got to rely on your sleepers, Derek McKee and Sam Perkins to pull you out. But I disagree with you. I think the best thing about Seattle is the fact that they have no style. George Karl says that let any coach try and get a game plan going against me. He says, if they can do it, I'd like to know what it is, because I have no idea what we're going to do.
If they have a style, it's Moses Malone basketball. Throw it up on the glass and get it 10 times. Tough to win that way, unless you're Moses himself.
I have which Moses?
Confusing.
I have every idea what we're going to do, an excellent idea of it. When we come back, we'll look at the guy who's gone head-to-head with Michael Jordan and more than held his own in this series, the Knicks' John Starks. That's next as Showtime continues. In the first two games, hitting 5 3-pointers in Game 1 and helping to hold Michael Jordan in check, particularly in the second half of both games. Look at what Jordan has shot in the second half, a measly 28%. Now, most of the top players in this series, and most of the top players in the NBA, for that matter, were stars in college, and many of them were first-round picks in the draft, but not John Starks. His basketball resume is hardly a thing of beauty, but Starks has persevered, and he sits now on the verge of NBA stardom. Peter Vecsey has the rest of the story.
Everybody who likes your game says they like it because you're crazy. Everybody who dislikes your game say they dislike it because you're crazy.
Well, yeah, I'm in a no-win situation, I guess, you know.
Or a can't-lose situation.
Yeah, a can't-lose situation, that's true. You know, I try not to concern myself whether or not that people like my game or not. You know, I just try to go out there and just play.
But the inability to concentrate has plagued John Starks throughout his career. Erratic behavior, questionable shot selection, and a propensity for the absurd have been his trademarks. Perhaps the defining moment came in the first round when he lit a fire under the Pacers by headbutting Reggie Miller.
I was in the wrong. No question I was in the wrong. It cost us the game. You know, that's when I really felt that the importance of me out there on the court, what's the difference going to make in winning or losing. And that, you know, situation, even though it shouldn't have happened, you know, but it helped me learn from it. And I think it made me a much better player.
John Starks learned the game of basketball in talent-rich Tulsa. He left his high school team 3 games into his senior year. It was back to the playgrounds. Then 1 semester at Rogers State, 1 semester at Northern Oklahoma. But there were no scholarships. Starks left and took a job bagging groceries.
I always work hard, and whatever I did, I tried to take pride in doing it. And I was the best you know, baggage, you know, person there. So,
Any flagrant fouls?
No. No.
Starks returned to school a year later and excelled at Oklahoma Junior College. The following season, he got his chance at Division I and averaged over 15 points for the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
He doesn't appear to be fazed by an obstacle because he's had to overcome so many that he sees each situation as a challenge, and it's something that he's going to work very hard to overcome.
Starks saw little playing time with Golden State and was released. Undaunted, his next stop was Cedar Rapids of the CBA, then Memphis of the World Basketball League. Always trying to silence his critics.
I just think John has more upside even than he's shown this year because he's so committed to being a great player. And I love guys, Pete, who have something to prove. This guy knows what his background is, knows where he came from, and like so many of our players, he's got something to prove.
Virtually overnight, he has become a team leader. But there is still a dark side of Starks only he can subdue.
I've always been a very emotional person as well as a player. So it's all about controlling that side of me. Sometimes I let it get away, take the best of me, and let it get out of hand. But the majority of the time, I think I'm doing a better job, especially this year, in controlling it.
Does your wife talk to you about it?
All the time.
Riley talk to you about it?
All the time.
Checkets?
All the time.
The commissioner?
Everybody.
That was like Jordan on Jordan. Was it any special thrill dunking on him?
Well, I wouldn't say it was on Michael. I think it was just a play that needed to be made at the time, and I just went for it.
John, explain to me how a guy who's not made it so many times as you have, who's faced so much adversity, would have no fear of failure. Is it the fact that you feel you've got nothing to lose?
In a sense. In a sense, I do. I guess it just comes from my upbringing and knowing that you have to work for everything and not, you know, concern yourself about failure. You know, knowing that I've been as low as I can go on the totem pole and all I can go is up. And that's how I feel when I'm out there on the court or whenever I do anything in life. You know, I just feel that I can just go as far as I want to go.
Additional thoughts on Starks?
I'll tell you, Bob, I've never in all my time of covering basketball underestimated somebody for as long and as much as this kid. And I think until recently, because I think the thing with him is I've always wondered what would go first, his mind or his jump shot. I mean, he could go either way. He could either take you in the right direction or he could lead you astray. And the Knicks and Patrick Ewing need this guy to be their leader from outside.
Now, Bill, I caught you a few times this year on cable doing CBA games. The Knicks not only have Starks, they got Anthony Mason, an important contributor also out of the CBA. Is this luck or is there some technique in finding these diamonds in the rough?
There's lots of guys like Mason and Starks out there. I think the key is Riley and the job he's done in teaching them responsibility, discipline, how hard to work, and most importantly, maturity. This has all come together for these guys right now. Starks in a fabulous position. It's all on his shoulders. Today, we find out just how good Starks, Mason, and the rest of the Knicks are.
But what I like about this is a chance for the country to see a young man grow up. And he's becoming a star. I mean, very seldom do you get to see something like that. And I'm very excited for the fact that he has grown as a man as well as a basketball player.
As we get out of here, you know, you mentioned Riley. It was interesting in the first segment. He says, look, they want to be ballerinas. We want to be basketball players. You coach what you got. He was on the other side of the fence with the Lakers. When the Celtics roughed them up in '84, when he had to go against the Pistons, he wasn't so keen on the style that the Knicks are playing now. But you coach what you got, and probably Jackson would do the same thing if you reverse rosters.
Altogether, absolutely, Bob.
Absolutely. That's all we have time for. Absolutely, Bob. And yet, what would you add to such a perceptive comment anyway? Coming up, John Starks and the Knicks against the Bulls in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll see you with more witty banter at halftime.
Early in Michael Jordan's career, the Bulls were known as a one-man team. Not until Jordan's supporting cast stepped up did they win a championship. Who can ever forget Scottie Pippen erasing the painful memory of watching his teammates lose to the Pistons while he sat on the bench with a migraine, then elevating his level of play up to championship caliber? And what about John Paxson finally gaining Jordan's trust and shooting down the Lakers in the '91 finals? And Horace Grant's exclamation point in Game 7 last year over the Knicks? But this year's playoffs against New York have been one of frustration, reminding the Bulls of a time they were carried by Michael, but only so far. Can the Bulls play like a team again? Today, the matchup moves to Chicago, and a Knicks team who loomed large in New York seems determined, focused, and poised to end the series sooner than anticipated. So now the Bulls must win 4 of the last 5 games, or their visions of three-peat will vanish.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1993 NBA playoffs. Today, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls.
It is a 61-degree brisk day in Chicago, and here at Chicago Stadium, the Bulls are hoping to brighten the day with a victory to propel themselves back into the series. For Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, it has reached desperation time against a very confident New York Knicks squad. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. First of all, it should be reported that Michael Jordan spent last night at home watching the Phoenix-Seattle game on television. No, it was not a very pleasant trip to New York and New Jersey for Michael Jordan, who has been below Michael Jordan-type standards. Now, Mike, how have the Knicks kept Jordan under control?
Marv, they don't call him the Riley rules, but he certainly makes sure they pay very special attention to certain little details. One thing is keep Michael Jordan out of the lane area. Don't let him get to the paint. If he starts to head there, close it down with those big New York Knicks bodies. Don't let him get to the front of the rim. Rotate players on him, hopefully, to wear Michael Jordan down at the end of the game. And if you look at the numbers in the first 2 playoff games, it kind of bears it all out. In the first half, shooting almost 47%, averaging 21 points. points. But in the second half of the first two games, shooting under 28%, averaging just 10.5 points per game. Not only has Jordan struggled against New York's defense, but the Bulls' intricate half-court offense or triple post offense. New York has taken away the entry passes into the post area. They're pressuring the perimeter passes, keeping him on the outside, forcing him to take jump shots, and not too many of them have fallen thus far for the Chicago Bulls.
And in recent years, Bill Cartwright has been quite successful in holding Patrick Ewing, his one-time teammate, in check by virtue of his skillful positional play. But over the first two games of this series, it has been clear-cut all Ewing.
You hear about the two superstars on Chicago, Jordan doing his thing and then Pippen to support him, but it may come down, their survival of the Bulls, to the 36-year-old Bill Cartwright. They count on him so much at both ends of the floors. First, at the offensive end, he has struggled. When you go back a year ago, he averaged 6 shots per game, shooting 46% against the New York Knicks, and they'd like to go to him early to get Ewing in foul trouble, but thus far, in the first two games, only 2.5 shots per game, shooting just 20%. At the defensive end of the floor, they count on Bill Cartwright to play Ewing straight up so that nobody else has to double team. Well, this Patrick Ewing does not fear Bill Cartwright as he did in previous years. He's stronger this season. He knows that he's more agile than Bill Cartwright. As a result, Chicago has had to double team down low. By double teaming, they're scrambling and outnumbered on the glass. The Knicks have pounded Chicago on the board, so Bill Cartwright will be a major factor.
So for the two-time defending NBA champion Chicago Bulls, it has come to Game 3, trailing 2-0. But they are happy to return to familiar surroundings, and they're hoping it will lift them back into the series.
Let's go. What time is it?
Well, over the last 15 years in NBA play, only 3 teams have come back from 2-0 deficits to go on to win the series. The 3 teams, Golden State in 1987, the Knicks in 1990, and the Phoenix Suns did it this year against the LA Lakers. Those 3 clubs did it in best-of-5 matchups. The last 15 years, it has not been done in a best-of-7. The Bulls hope to put a dent in that statistic. And now we're set for the introduction of the starting lineups. And here is the public address voice of the Chicago Bulls, Ray Clay.
The Chicago Bulls welcome the world's greatest fans to the Chicago Stadium. Today's Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals is between the New York Knicks and your Chicago Bulls. Now for this afternoon's lineups. First for the visiting New York Knickerbockers. At forward, from Pittsburgh, 6'10", Charles Smith. A 6'9" forward from Virginia Union, Charles Oakley. At center, 7 foot from Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. At one guard from Oklahoma State, 6'5", John Starks. At the other guard, 6'4" from Marquette, Glenn Doc Rivers. The New York Knicks are coached by Pat Riley, assisted by Jeff Van Gundy and Dick Harder. The trainer, Mike Saunders. Champion Chicago Bulls. And forward from Clemson, 6'10", Horace Grant. A 6'7" forward from Central Arkansas, Scottie Pippen. The man in the middle from San Francisco, 7'1",
capacity crowd of better than 17,000 at Chicago Stadium is certainly ready. And once again, we're joined on the sidelines by both Ahmad Rashad and Hannah Storm. Let's start with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I was in the locker room of the Chicago Bulls just before the game. It was a very quiet locker room for a couple of reasons. One, they're down 0-2. And two, all the players are sick and tired of being depicted in the press as not only being complainers, but also whiners, which is really a shot to any professional athlete. Now, with this series the way it is and the rivalries the way they are, you would think that none of these guys would actually agree on one thing. But the Bulls all agree with Anthony Mason when he said, if I was a champ, I'd just shut up and play basketball. That's what the Bulls plan on doing. Hannah?
Well, Ahmad, the Knicks see themselves as a team that thrives on adversity, and they are well prepared for the adversity they will face at Chicago Stadium this afternoon. In the form of the crowd, possibly the referees, and they've talked about the fact that Chicago will come out and play with more energy, and in all likelihood press much more than they did, especially in Game 2. The main thing that the Knicks have stressed is poise. They feel that Chicago may come up with a big scoring run during this game, but they want consistent execution and maintaining of their poise, something that's often difficult to do on the road. Mark?
Thank you, Hannah. And the officials, Hugh Evans, Jack Madden, and Steve Javi. They are gathering these two teams together for the opening tip. Game 1 last Sunday at Madison Square Garden, won by the Knicks 98-90. That stopped the Bulls' 9-game playoff win streak. Dating back to last season, Game 2, this past Tuesday in New York, the Knicks won 96-91 to take the 2-0 lead in the best of 7. It'll be Patrick Ewing and Bill Cartwright on the opening tip. And the Knicks control. Charles Smith able to hand it to Doc Rivers, who is immediately double-teamed. Recovered by Smith. Bulls go right to pressure. Here's Ewing. And the Knicks go right to Ewing.
When you start out with pressure and come out with the energy that Chicago has this afternoon, at times you realize that it will open up, extend your defense because you're gambling. Well, the gamble worked against them first time down.
Who is trying to shrug off the sprained ankle off a nice setup from Michael Jordan.
The attack by New York, Ewing with the finish against the pressure by Chicago, and then immediately down to the guy they're trying to get back involved in their game. Both ends of the floor. Grant converts and now makes the free throw for the three-point play, and immediately the extended defense by the Bulls.
Oakley called for that foul on Grant. Oakley had to save it. The pressure providing difficulty here for the Knicks right at the start. Now Starks through the foul. Armstrong came over to cut him off, and he's called for the personal.
You want your team excited. You want your team playing with the fire that Chicago is showing, but Phil Jackson also knows that you've got to do that and temper it to a certain extent. That last time, 3 Chicago Bulls wound up going after John Starks. That obviously would open up all kinds of areas for the Knicks to get good shots. That's not what they want. Play excited, but play smart.
And this crowd very active here at the start, applauding that missed free throw by John Starks, who has had an outstanding series. Was very quiet in the first half in Game 2, but then came on in the second half. The Bulls and the Knicks are tied at 3. With that three-point play by Grant, he has already surpassed his point total of Game 2. Ewing steps in on Jordan on a switch. Grant. Well, Horace Grant has opened by hitting the first 5 points for Chicago.
Against the Cleveland Cavaliers, B.J. Armstrong got up against Mark Price. Terrell Brandon pressured him all over the floor, and neither one had outstanding games. Again now, after the score, he's after Rivers, full court man-to-man defense.
Starks for 3. Armstrong with the rebound. Armstrong passed on the 3, goes for the 2. And the Bulls have come out on fire. They lead 7-3. Minute and a half gone by. Smith changed changed his mind, met by Pippen. Oakley taking advantage of the mismatch. Armstrong switched off to play Oakley, and the Knicks are now down 7-5. Jordan. And Smith rebounds. Good box out by Charles Smith. Here's the double on Ewing. Smith fought. He had Oakley on the move, and Charles pointed to himself. It's Charles Oakley saying, my fault.
To start out the game, Grant showed he could play down low in the box area, but he also shows his ability to step outside, face up, and hit the jumpers.
Bulls have hit their first 3 out of 4 from the field. Armstrong. And Ewing gets to it. Starks. Crowd wanted to travel. On Starks. Here's Ewing. Had it knocked away. Good play by Grant. Last trick by Ewing. Conradi upset on that sequence. He wanted a little ball movement.
When the ball was in the deep left-hand corner right in front of the Knicks bench, Riley was yelling, bring it out, bring it out. I think he wanted to make Chicago work a little bit by some ball movement, passing the ball for a while rather than a quick shot attempt.
Pippen with the room. Yes. The Bulls 9 and the Knicks 5. Well, this time down, the Knicks facing light pressure. Smith. Charles Smith. Charles Smith has played very well in the playoffs, going back to the final 2 games in the previous series against Charlotte, and he's come up strong against the Bulls in games 1 and 2. Both clubs shooting well here at the start. Shot clock at 6. Cartwright, who has been very quiet. Rebounded by Rivers, and he's tripped up. Foul committed by Scottie Pippen.
Doc Rivers willing to absorb the contact, tried to split the double team and fight his way out just to get a clear look to a teammate, so maybe he could advance the ball with the pass to get the break going. The body contact, he goes down.
Once again, pressure. Armstrong staying with Rivers. You go back to the game here in Chicago on Christmas night when the Bulls came from behind off this type of defensive pressure as they took the game away from the Knicks in the 3rd quarter and defeated the Knicks, as it turned out, for their only victory over the Knicks this season.
The Bulls were actually down 10 points at the half, and in 2 minutes and 17 seconds of that 3rd quarter had the game tied up.
Jordan. Michael has missed his first 2 shots. It will be Chicago possession. And Oakley and Pippen have some words. Bulls get the new 24. Jordan hits the deck. And a foul call.
Jordan tried to set the screen on Charles Oakley, who was guarding Grant. As is the Knicks' philosophy, run through screens if they get in your way. Oakley tries to run through. Michael Jordan sends him down. The foul is called. If you establish your position as a screener, Phil Jackson's point all along in this series has been you should not allow the defensive men to just knock them over like bowling pins.
Charles Oakley called for his first. Michael Jordan spent much time at the line in game 2, hit 11 of 13 at the foul line. He did score 36 points, but only 12 of 32 from the field and 5 for 16 in the second half. The Bulls 11, the Knicks 7. 4 minutes gone by. Starks being played by Pippen. Ewing from way out. Well, the Knicks have been forced into some bad shots. Here's Pippen. That is waved off. The foul call before the shot. Called on Charles Smith, his second.
That last trip down the court for New York, they ran a pick-and-roll 2-man game, and Chicago changed the way they had been playing it in the previous 2 games. They tried to force the ball handler down the sideline rather than bring the ball to the screen.
Jordan for 3, and that would have been a potential 4-point play. Starks called for the hacking foul.
When New York plays pick and roll, normally when Ewing steps out, the ball comes to Ewing, but now they force him down the sideline, so Ewing has to step back and take a long jump shot. That time he was way off the mark, so you see the first adjustment in the chess game between the two coaches. Take the pick and roll, force it down the sideline. They actually started doing it the last 2 minutes of game number 2 to see how it would work for them. Obviously, they liked what they saw.
Chicago with a 13-7 lead, and again, Jordan meets up with Starks at midcourt. Smith gets inside. So the Bulls with a 13-9 advantage.
I thought that Chicago might wait a little bit longer before they came and double-team Patrick Ewing down low. They didn't like that they went to it so early in game number 2. They'd rather Cartwright playing straight up.
Open shot for B.J. Armstrong. Armstrong so effective in game 1, has come out and hit 2 out of 3 from the field. Pippen and Smith in a collision, and it looked like the official, Steve Javy, went over to talk to both players.
I'm sure he just went over and asked them, "You two guys fine? Everything okay today?" Yeah, they nodded. Now they'll go on with the game.
Little sparring sessions going on verbally. I see Doc Rivers and B.J. Armstrong going at each other. Starks had it knocked away. Ewing with the recovery. Like what we're seeing here in the early going is that Bill Cartwright has defensively come out and played Patrick Ewing very effectively. The foul called on Ewing. And a timeout has been taken. Well, they changed the call to Starks. That's the second on Starks. We'll be right back. The Bulls with a 15-9 lead. A furious start here by Chicago. 6:37 remaining first quarter, and some words exchanged. Scottie Pippen and Charles Oakley are very good friends, and then B.J. Armstrong and Doc Rivers started in animated fashion, and then that seemed to settle down. And we're told that the Bulls, led by a Michael Jordan delegation to the officials, complained about the basketball, the feel of the ball. They say it was the ball that was selected by the Knicks.
This ball that they're using right now looks very new, very shiny. Normally the players like to play with a ball that's scuffed up a little bit darker in color than this bright orange basketball, which means that it's been used quite a bit. It gives them a better touch, better ability to make shots. This looks like almost a brand new one out there.
Horace Grant off to the fast start. He has 6 points. Anthony Mason replacing Charles Smith. Mike, I can recall back to the early 70s of the New York Knicks, now Senator Bill Bradley, who is a very clever and outstanding player for the Knicks, once felt the feel of the ball was not proper. The officials would not listen to him. So with the officials not able to see, they were screened out. Bradley got hold of the ball, had a little pin in his basketball shorts. Rolando Blackman is trapped. Rolando just checked in, got it back outside. Here's Mason. He was blocked, and Ewing is able to put it down. The Bulls now lead by 6. And Bradley actually took air out of the ball, and the officials did not see it because he was dissatisfied with the feel of the ball.
Now, this is a page out of the Pro Wrestling Tour, okay, where you hide the little items inside the shorts and pull them out.
Armstrong with his third field goal. He's hit 3 out of 4. He has 6 points. The Bulls with a 19-11 lead.
I'm anxious to see if Chicago comes up with some breakaway long pass layups for B.J. Armstrong. They have been running him out on every shot attempt thus far by New York. Something a little bit different, trying to get some easy scores.
Ahmad just passed on the word that the Bulls in the huddle very enthusiastic about what they call the fury of the crowd. This is a very energized Chicago team that has come out. Mason went short, and he's hammered by Cartwright.
It's exactly what Phil Jackson had talked about yesterday, the fact that X and O-wise you can do just so much. Then at this point, the players sent a message to Phil yesterday. He thought they were trying to say, let us just come and play. The shot block, but then over the back by Bill Cartwright is called. In other words, the players want to hear the adjustments, but they also know being down 0-2, they had to get themselves up in the proper attitude to play.
That won't count. Foul has been called. It's against the Bulls.
Personal foul, Bill Cartwright.
On Cartwright, his second. Bill Cartwright over the first 2 games has been severely outplayed by Patrick Ewing, but he has started strongly against Ewing in terms of his positional play. He's not allowed Ewing to get the proper position on the blocks. And now Will Perdue replaces Bill Cartwright after Cartwright collected his second foul.
The difference against Perdue as opposed to Cartwright, Patrick Ewing honestly feels that he can basically take Will Perdue and move him wherever he wants to physically on the floor to get a high percentage shot. Because of that, Chicago has had to trap much quicker on Patrick Ewing. That allows the other New York frontline players to get to the offensive boards because they keep catching Chicago scrambling defensively, and guards wind up rotating back on big people. They just can't do it against New York's stronger guys.
Chicago by 7. Red play by Ewing. Here is Pippen. The Bulls 21. The Knicks 12. Again pressure. And Mason, who dribbles the ball so well, will be the key man against the Chicago pressure. Where the Bulls are hurting when they're so effective with the trap. Horace Grant is a significant player, but with that sprained ankle, you wonder how effective he can be. The foul was called on Will Perdue.
Well, Ahmad also told us coming out of that timeout that Phil Jackson wanted selective pressure. He realizes he can't do it for the whole game, so there are certain times he wants him to get into it, other times fake it, just keep New York off balance.
Knicks did not shoot right up the line in game 2 at the Garden, 26 and 38, 68%. And Doc Rivers now 1 for 3 from the foul line, and he is usually an excellent free throw shooter. So Doc is 1 for 4, and the Bulls with a 21-12 lead, just under 5 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Perdue from Grant. Will Perdue lives. He has had a very tough time in his brief appearances against the Knicks and hardly played against Cleveland. Jordan stealing from Blackman. Jordan all the way, and he's fouled by Blackman.
Something that Chicago has not been able to do is get the ball into the post area. So much of their intricate offense starts with post passes. Well, when they do get it inside, good things can happen, like a backdoor move by Will Perdue. He receives a nice bounce pass and converts. Then Jordan, after the steal, tries to finish the play off. A hard foul takes him out of the fast break lane, but he does go to the foul line.
Reaction for Greg Anthony as he checks in, replacing Doc Rivers. Greg Anthony was fined $5,000 for that hard-hit flagrant foul that he leveled on Michael Jordan on Tuesday night. And Michael made a statement afterwards that there will be a payback somewhere along the line. Foul on the travel. Mason for Ewing. The Knicks handled the pressure very well. The Bulls 25 and the Knicks 14.
Handled it very well after just about escaping with 2 or 3 travel violations.
Armstrong and Jordan at the guards. Perdue, Grant, Pippen up front. Here's Jordan for the fadeaway. And for Michael, his first field goal. He has 8 points. Blackman with the pull-up. Blackman was able to beat the Bulls down court.
The reason being, Michael Jordan fell into the bench area after the shot, was sitting on the floor, and Blackman ran out. Will Perdue never realized that he needed to go out and cover for Michael Jordan. He was concerned, Perdue, about protecting the basket with Ewing coming down.
Jordan. Ewing with the rebound. The Bulls have hit their last 5 shots. Bulls by 11. Anthony. Well, they gave him the shot. He hit the 3. The Bulls do not respect the outside touch of Greg Anthony. The Bulls 27. The Knicks 19. Scottie Pippen. He's connected on 3 of 3. Chicago by 10. Just under 3 minutes remaining in this fast-paced first quarter. Mason to the crossover, and he threw the foul. While Pippen slamming the ball down. Fortunate that a technical was not assessed, as he is called for his second personal. Scottie Pippen upset about the personal call on him. Slammed the ball. Very fortunate he was not hit with a technical back in Game 2 on Tuesday in New York. You recall this incident. Pippen called for a double dribble violation. Set him off, leading to official Bill Oakes ejecting Pippen. And yesterday after practice, I talked about this with Scottie Pippen.
He never saw it, first of all, I guess, you know. And, you know, when I talked to him, he said he made a mistake, but that's a crucial mistake when you're trying to battle back into the game, and then he inject me as well.
He said he made a mistake when you talked to him while this was going on, or after?
Yeah, well, after I went and talked to him, after he told me I was ejected, I asked him, what did he see? He said, Scotty, I made a mistake.
You could have said you made a mistake throwing the ball at him.
So our little attempt at humor, making light of the situation.
Yeah, you cracked Scotty up, I tell you that.
Scotty laughs within. He doesn't show it.
Going back to that particular play, it came down to a missed call by the official. The situation was compounded by Billy Oakes going after the basketball. When Pippen did not give him the ball at that moment that he asked for it, he could have just called a delay of game, and that perhaps would have taken the thing in a completely different direction. There may not have been the reaction then of the ball being tossed or thrown at Billy Oakes, and then the ejection of Scottie Pippen. So everyone's entitled to miss a call now and then. Scottie felt that the official definitely had missed that one.
Pippen sitting down. Substitutions. Phil Jackson sending on Trent Tucker and John Paxson. And the Knicks continue to have their problems at the foul line. 3 of 8 from the line, while the Bulls are 9 for 9. Bulls 29, the Knicks 20. 2:35 remaining in this first quarter. Paxson. Yes. Well, John Paxson not a factor at all over the first 2 games, and hits on his first field goal.
The reason that was able to work for Chicago was Jordan's ability to elevate and look one way and pass another, keeping New York's defense guessing whether he was going to go back to the screener or to the opposite corner with the pass.
Foul on Perdue, sending Ewing to the line.
When you get in the air, is he going left or right? You can see the middle of the screen. He catches New York's defense in the middle of a rotation. They couldn't decide which way he was going, something he has not been able to do a whole lot in the first 2 games.
Patrick Ewing, 72% free throw shooting. And the very poor free throw shooting continues at the Knick end. 3 of 9 from the line. Michael Jordan. Well, no, he will stay on. Looked like Phil Jackson was about to pull him. It is Jordan, along with Tucker, Paxson. Scott Williams has come on, along with Stacey King.
I was down in the locker room, the Knicks locker room, prior to the game, talking to Patrick Ewing, and he was a somber Patrick Ewing, who said that he's not feeling all that well. A little bit of a head cold bothering Patrick Ewing.
Bulls with a 10-point lead. 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Jordan had it knocked away by Mason off the recovery, but his shooting has been off here at the start. 1 of 5 for Jordan. His shooting against the Knicks all season has been off. Mason backing Jordan. Illegal defense called for the first time.
The first violation award. Reset.
John Paxson was the player caught illegal by Jack Madden that time. Paxson trying to help down in the post area, where Michael Jordan was caught on the back of Anthony Mason, gave a little bit too much help, got below that foul line area.
Next get the new 24. Anthony guarded by Paxson. Matchup is Jordan against against Mason. Here's Oakley. And a foul on Anthony. And then realizing that he took Paxson into the basket support, he immediately went to him and tried to brace the fall. He did not want to get involved in yet another incident. Here it is.
He sees him on his way, and then after he realizes there's a collision, and oh no, they're not going to get me again for intentionally trying to hurt somebody, he tries to pull him back out, so it's not a real hard blow into the backboard support.
The Bulls 9 of 9 from the line. John Paxson, during the regular season, only 17 of 20 from the foul line. An injury hit regular season for Paxson, back from surgery on his left knee, played in only 59 games. The Bulls lead 33-21. And Paxson stays back with Anthony. Bulls with a 3-guard alignment. So Jordan is the man guarding Mason. Blackman called for a trouble. Rolando Blackman is having trouble finding his shots. Usually needs screens, needs help, and he's trying to do it himself, and he was called for the violation. We come up on 1 minute remaining, first quarter. Jordan met by Ewing, able to whip by him. Jordan on the recovery. And a loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Jordan did a little bit of dancing along the baseline area, then came back up on the other side. But Rolando Blackman got a clean look at it, was able to block the shot.
Foul committed by Ewing. That was his first. Both teams are over the limit. And Scott Williams to the line. Scott Williams, very effective the other night. 23 minutes, 12 points, 7 rebounds, fouled out. And here is Hubert Davis, one of the heroes for the Knicks in the series against Charlotte, making his first appearance against the Bulls. Michael Jordan hears it from the crowd, although again, the stat line on the shooting is not Jordan-like. 1 of 7 from the field, but he has 6 assists and 6 of 6 from the foul line. Pressure by Chicago. Mason handles it. Darrell Walker making his first appearance. Darrell Walker known for his defense, looking for the steal on Mason. And here's it from the crowd. Blackman for 3. Rebound slapped home by Ewing. Patrick Ewing getting inside position. The Bulls 34 and the Knicks 23. Ewing has 9. 25 seconds left in the quarter. Davis got a piece of it. Tucker protects. Shot clock is down to 5. Tucker can't find the shot. It's down to 2. Tracy King not able to hit the rim, so the ball goes to New York with 10 seconds left in the quarter.
One thing for Chicago, they've got to feel a little bit better about their offense. 34 points thus far. Their highest quarter has been 28, which was the 4th quarter of Game 2 against New York's defense in the first 2 games. So here they start out with 34 up to this point in the first quarter.
Adjusted the clock, 11 seconds remaining in the quarter. Bulls with tremendous pressure right throughout the quarter. Down to 5. Anthony came across. Down to 2. 1 second. Anthony. A solid first quarter for the hometown Chicago Bulls. Horace Grant, despite the sprained ankle, provided the early lift. He has 7. Michael Jordan only 1 for 7, 8 points, but he does have 6 assists. The Bulls, a sparked up team here at the start, lead the Knicks 34-23.
I promised Michael I would one time, and you don't know when he's going to get out, but it's an exciting time. You know, they only averaged 6,000 fans before Michael came here, the year before. What a difference.
That's right, but you got a couple of your old players here, too.
Yes, and Scott Williams has done well. Hubert Davis just got into the game.
Well, you know what? We're glad to see you here, and good luck to all the guys you got out there playing.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Dean. Back to you, Marv.
All right, one of the great coaches of college basketball, Dean Smith, as the second quarter gets underway. The Bulls 34 and the Knicks 23. Michael Jordan has returned. Jordan putting the move on Blackman. He got the step, but pitched it out. Paxson again. That's a familiar sight here in Chicago. Jordan finding the open Paxson, and then Paxson able to bury the jump shot.
And Jordan smart enough to realize when his shot may not be falling, create something for a teammate and hope they can get it done.
Ewing stripped. Scott Williams with the steal. Tucker for three. Yes. The Bulls are on fire. They lead 49-23.
So Phil Jackson willing to go with the smaller team, hoping he can hurt New York rather than New York hurting him with post-ups.
Pat Riley taking the 22nd timeout. Biggest lead of the game for Chicago, a 16-point margin. Look at that stat. Jordan only 1 for 7. The rest of the Bulls 12 for 14. So here are his teammates carrying Michael Jordan. Looking back at this series was John Starks leading the way in game 1 at Madison Square Garden. 25 points. Knicks with the decisive edge off the boards. And game 2 this past Tuesday night, Charles Oakley with a 14-point, 16-rebound performance. And the Knicks with that 20-6 third-quarter run. They just took the play away from the Bulls in the third and went on to take a 2-0 lead in this best of 7. What is it with Michael Jordan in terms of his shooting against the Knicks? Is it the way the Knicks are playing? Is it the bad wrist? How do you explain?
I don't think it's the wrist any longer. I think the wrist has healed. In fact, Ahmad mentioned that he lifted weights as Anthony misses the layup attempt. He lifted weights for the first time. Ball goes off of Hubert Davis. Chicago possession. First time he's lifted in quite a while. Yesterday he said he felt very good, so maybe he hasn't adjusted to the fact that he hasn't lifted in quite a while. He's a little bit tight out there shooting, but he did come out prior to the game and take his shots.
We are still very early in the game, and we have seen Jordan start slowly and then come on. Jordan with the move, and he's fouled. So once again, Michael will go to the line. On the subject of Michael Jordan's field goal shooting regular season, just under 50%. Against the Knicks, only 35% during the regular season. And in games 1 and 2, 37.3. Patrick Ewing was called for that foul. So Jordan doing it at the line. He is now 7 of 7 from the free throw line.
It goes back to the same thing when you're a marked man the way Michael Jordan is, and you have more than just 1 or 2 players concentrating on you. Other players must have to step up and perform, and we showed what the rest of the team had been doing from the 4-12 out of 14 a moment ago. So they have responded. The team has done it this afternoon rather than just relying on Michael Jordan.
Off the double team by Paxson and Tucker. Trent Tucker called for that foul. It's a non-shooting affair. Pat Riley now going with the rookie Hubert Davis, Greg Anthony, and John Starks. So he has been forced to go to the 3 guards. Patrick Ewing and Charles Smith are the big men. Smith was hit. No, they called it the other way. Offensive foul. That's 3 on Smith. Charles Oakley will come on for Charles Smith.
Getting into the lane area, he just continues to go over and through the defensive player who's in front. The offensive foul is called. But the thing that's interesting with Chicago, they have assists on 12 out of their 13 field goals. In the first 2 games, they averaged just 16 assists a game.
Nice play. Williams laying it off for Grant. But the foul is called on the Bulls. Offensive foul. And it's Scott Williams for a charge. Michael Jordan looking to settle down. Scott Williams.
Knicks as good as any team at closing down the path to the basket. Oakley as good as anyone willing to take the punishment, absorb the blow by stepping in for the offensive foul.
41-23. The Bulls with an 18-point lead. A little chatter between Phil Jackson and Charles Oakley. Step. Nice move by Rick Anthony. That's his second field goal.
Scott Williams should step up a little bit sooner and get after that shot block attempt. Don't let him get to the front of the rim that way.
Here's Williams. Scott Williams from John Paxson. Pretty pass. Ewing for Oakley. Bulls have outscored the Knicks 10-4 in this second quarter. They shot well in the first quarter, 11 for 19, 58%. Knicks picked up the shooting, finished at 9 of 17 after the slow start. Jordan posting up Starks. Make it 1 of 8 for Michael Jordan. Tucker got it back. Jordan tries the other side. And a block called on Anthony. Greg Anthony picks up his second. Timeout has been called. 8:41 remaining, first half.
At Chicago Stadium, a homecoming for the Knicks. Doc Rivers, who was born in Maywood, Illinois, and started at Proviso East High School. But Doc hasn't been able to eat many of his favorite Chicago foods. The Knicks have had him on a very strict diet since he had to leave Game 2 because of leg cramps. They feel that he was cramping up because of dehydration. He's been drinking lots of fluid, no meat, and lots of carbohydrates. They also limited his shooting prior to this game when he was warming up, and he was 1 for 4 from the line. Doc also said the Bulls have usually given him plenty of tickets for his family when he comes back, but this time they refused. Art?
All right, Hannah, yes. Doc grew up following the Chicago Bulls and recalls as an 8-year-old playing here at halftime during Chicago Bulls games. Paxson again. That's a 3. John Paxson, 3 of 3 from the field, 2 for 2 from the line. He has 9 points. And the answer provided by John Starks as he connects from downtown. The Bulls 46, the Knicks 30.
The sudden screen by Ewing caught Chicago by surprise. The big man never got up to help.
Anthony Starks and Davis at the guard. Ewing and Oakley on the front line. Hubert Davis. Nice play, changed direction. Did not get the friendly roll.
Don't look at the basketball. Look at the opposite side of the floor. Scott Williams will set the screen that frees up Paxson for the shot, and he produces by putting it in the bottom of the net.
Scott Williams has played well. He'll sit down now, replaced by Bill Cartwright. A timeout taken by the Knicks. A 20-second timeout. And now they've changed to a full timeout. 7:44 remaining. First half, the Bulls have a 16-point lead. It had been a very difficult start of the series for Horace Grant, who's been playing despite that badly sprained right ankle, but he came on with a flurry right at the start of today's game, off to the 7 points on 2 for 2 from the field, 3 for 3 from the line. So Horace turning it around. We talked with him yesterday, and he expressed much respect for the play of the New York Knicks.
Well, this year New York team reminds me of the Bulls of a couple years ago when we played the Lakers in the finals. We had that hunger, that determination to go out and win. You know, that's the Knicks right now. Somehow, some way, we have to overcome that and go out and play our type of basketball.
And Horace Grant and Anthony Mason bumping each other, having some words.
The body's down low, the arms get tangled up, little push and shove, telling each other, keep your hands off me, you keep your hands off. They're not going much further than that, though, because they know that the officials are going to keep this thing under control, and neither team can afford to lose one of their big men up front to an ejection.
These days, you take a punch and you are gone, whether it connects or does not. John Starks at the line, fouled by John Paxson, and the Knicks free throw shooting has just been awful here today. 4 of 11 from the line.
Either one of these teams an outstanding free throw shooting team. During the regular season, New York 21st in the league in free throw shooting at 74%. Chicago 22nd in the league at 73%.
It's the Bulls 46, the Knicks 31. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Bob Bergeron, Hannah Storm from Chicago. Game 3 of the best of 7. Bulls trying to cut it to a 2-1 Knick lead. Knicks trying to make it 3-0. Game 4 here Monday afternoon. Pippen, yes, that's a 3 for Scottie Pippen. And he took that shot in very casual fashion.
Shot clock was running down. He knew he had to get one up there. There were about 4 seconds remaining when he started to go up on his jumper.
5 minutes into the second quarter. Anthony on a pull-up. Jordan with the rebound. There's Paxson spotting up for 3. Well, John Paxson has reached the unconscious level. We are seeing shades of his performance in the playoffs the last 2 seasons. Foul is called. Grant and Cartwright combining on Ewing. It's Horace Grant called for his first.
This looks a little bit like the opening tease when we talked about the damage that Paxson did against the Lakers 2 seasons ago. He's just feeling his stroke come back once again, and it couldn't come at a more opportune time for the Chicago Bulls.
John Paxson, one of the deadlier shooters in the NBA when he is on. So important in Chicago's triangle offense. But usually takes only 5-6 shots a game. They have been looking for him this afternoon.
If they can push the ball in transition and he can drag and wind up spotting up behind the three-point line, the Knicks defense will have to run out at him a little bit harder. Once that happens, it opens up the post passes inside, which allow so many of their other things to develop in their half-court offense.
Paxson has hit 4 out of 4. 2 3-pointers, 12 points in all. The Bulls 52 and the Knicks 33. Patrick Ewing leading the Knicks with 11 points. 6:20 remaining in the first half. Here's Jordan to the left hand. Beautiful move by Michael Jordan. It is only his second field goal. 12 points, 8 assists for Jordan. And the Bulls lead 54-33.
So Jordan's jumper was not falling. He started to do other things, create shots for other people or drive it to the basket.
Well, John Starks tried to soar, but was turned back.
Change it from right to left because Ewing comes over. That way you get a clear look at the front of the rim and the ball avoids the outstretched arm of Patrick Ewing.
24-second clock was not operating, and now it is. It's suddenly hit 5 seconds remaining. Decent block by Grant. It will be Nick Ball. And the Knicks are now complaining about the 24-second clock. It was not operating correctly on that last possession. And it still is not correct. They are showing 5, and it should be a new 24. But during the course of the last possession, it showed 12 and did not move, and then suddenly was down to 5.
It amazes me your ability to not only do the games, broadcast the games, coach a little bit on the side. Now you're into the officiating aspect of it.
No, that's not officiating. That is clock malfunction.
Oh, now you want to run the arena as well.
It's the peripheral vision. They have now settled on 21 remaining on the 24. Ewing forcing, but hitting. Patrick Ewing faced a double team, but still was able to hit.
At first he wanted to beat Cartwright off the dribble one-on-one, but then he saw the double team coming over, and Starks comes up with the steal, but loses.
Kicked it into the stands, but he was mad at himself, and apparently that was the view of the official. Jack Madden was not calling a technical. What do you think?
There would have been no reason to call a technical. He wasn't mad at an official's call. He's just disappointed that he let the ball slip away. Good judgment that time by Jack Madden, letting the play go.
Pippen banking his way. Pippen through the foul. Don Mason.
Starks hustles after, gets a piece of it, thinks he's on his way to the fast break, and then picks his head up, loses the dribble off his hand, then in frustration kicks the basketball. But that's nothing. You've got to understand the emotion involved in the basketball game. The officials have to have a feel for that. That was a correct no call by Jack Madden. Let it go.
It's been a red-hot first half for Chicago. They're shooting 64%, 18 of 28 from the field, 7 of 9 in the second quarter. The Knicks at 48% for the game, 13 of 27. The Bulls with a 21-point lead. So the Bulls lead 56-37.
That's been part of the problem that New York has hit Chicago with. When they get the Bulls scrambling around, there are mismatches. The big people wind up going right to the offensive boards. Pippen goes for the dunk, but misses.
And the ball will go to the Knicks.
Chicago complaining that the ball was blocked on the way up. He turns the corner, Scottie Pippen goes for the dunk. The complaint there that the ball should have been out of bounds off of New York. You can see, if anything, it should have been a foul call on Charles Oakley.
4.5 remaining in the first half. Oakley tried the extra pass, and it was picked off. Hollis Grant continuing his excellent play. Paxson passed on the three. Jordan, and he is clobbered. Michael took a pretty good shot as he drove the lane. Anthony called for his third foul.
Michael actually wanted to get the ball back over to the Scottie Pippen side of the floor, but when the lane opened up, he had to take advantage of it and try and dribble penetrate.
John Paxson hearing it from the crowd. So Paxson with 12 points. He hit 4 of 4 from the field, 2 from downtown. B.J. Armstrong has returned. The Bulls 58, the Knicks 37. Rivers is back. Oakley. The Knicks are being forced into taking shots they do not want to take. That is exactly what the Bulls did to the Knicks in Game 2 at the Garden. Grant. 6 on the 24. Pippen. Scottie Pippen goes glass. He's 5 out of 6. 13 points for Pippen.
We mentioned earlier that Chicago's got to feel good about its offense. In games 1 and 2, they had 48 and 49 points at halftime. Already with 3 minutes remaining, they've got 60 points on the scoreboard.
Here's Rivers. Oakley a foul, a reach-in called on Jordan.
Michael Jordan trying to help out and get back on the glass, gets caught behind Charles Oakley that time. He's got no choice other than try to go for the strip, the swipe, before Oakley can lay it back up and in.
Pat Riley telling us the story regarding Charles Oakley, who for a good portion of last season and this year was not playing minutes down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Now the Bulls take a timeout. We'll get back to that little vignette when we come back with 3:07 remaining in the first half.
York on the Prudential halftime report will bring you a report from the Western Conference Finals between Phoenix and Seattle. The Suns lead that series 2-1 with Game 4 tomorrow in Seattle. And Peter Vecsey will bring us up to date on some of the head coaching vacancies in the NBA. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. Right now, let's head back to Marv and Mike in Chicago. Marvelous.
All right, Bob. Sorry, we're talking about Charles Oakley, the fact that Charles had not been getting the playing time down the stretch, final minutes. He has certainly enjoyed his best season in his 8-year NBA career and has lifted it in the playoffs. So Charles goes to Pat Riley and says, you know that when I play 30 or more minutes, we win 80% of the time? And Riley pondered it and then went back to his personal statistical book, and he said, Charles, no, you're wrong. We won only 79% of the time. But since then, he has been on the floor for the most part in the final minutes of games. Michael Jordan squeezing his way and firing it up. He thought he was fouled. And the Bulls coaching staff very upset. Here's Mason rejected and tied up.
Let's go back to the Jordan shot. You would say, what a terrible shot Michael Jordan took. But that's not a shot he intended. He thought the whistle was going to go off right now with the body contact. So he figures if the whistle's going off, let me at least get it up there. Maybe I'll get a three-point play out of it. No whistle. So what happens is you get a little bit of frustration. He thinks he draws body contact. The officials don't. Michael gets frustrated and has a few words to say down at this end of the floor after the jump ball was called.
Trent Tucker back replacing Scottie Pippen, who leads with 13. 2:44 remaining in the first half. The Bulls 60, the Knicks 39. Ewing, Oakley. Tucker gets to it.
Very fortunate Chicago, because B.J. Armstrong would have been the guy to have to deal with Oakley on the weak side. He didn't get there in time. It was just a missed layup.
Jordan isolated against Starks. Gave it up. Rivers with the save. And Starks pushes it down. Feeds Mason. Crowd wants a travel. Anthony Mason. Able to hit off the lead pass. And the Bulls now lead by 19, just under 2 minutes remaining first half. Game 3 of the best of 7. Knicks winning the first 2 at Madison Square Garden in New York. Armstrong, hit by Oakley, lost it. Ewing with the steal. Chicago opened the game in furious fashion, fueled by the crowd. Official timeout being taken by Steve Javie. Chicago very successful with the pressure defense, the trapping right at the start, and that led to the good run.
You have to play off of this type of crowd because it's so good for the home team here. Phil Jackson understood that. The players knew that yesterday, actually, in practice, when they came to Phil, and they basically said, let us go out and play the game. We know what we have to do. So Phil kept the amount of adjustments that he made to a very small number. Hopefully they will respond this way.
Ewing draws the foul. Cartwright called for his third. So Ewing to the line. Patrick Ewing, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line.
Patrick Ewing at the line, shooting 2.
Knicks 9 of 16 at the line. Scott Williams replaces Bill Cartwright.
There's no question that Phil Jackson had to get him out of there with 3 personal fouls. He's going to want to save Bill Cartwright for that second half, the last 24 minutes, to keep that body up against Patrick Ewing. And the only guy they feel that can play Ewing straight up at times is Bill Cartwright.
The Bulls by 17. They led by as many as 23. Jordan, Tucker, and Armstrong now, the 3 guards utilized by Phil Jackson. And illegal defense call.
Illegal defense, New York, first violation.
That is their first.
Reset in 24 seconds.
When Michael Jordan can take the trap off the pick and roll situation, extend it with the dribble the way he just did, it causes problems for the backline people of New York. They're not quite sure where to start rotating to, and if they get caught guarding no one, as happened that last time, then the illegal defense is called.
Herb Williams come on and give Patrick Ewing a breather. Herb Williams played briefly in game 2, played 6 minutes, did not play in game 1. Here's Tucker. Well, the Knicks with 6 unanswered points. No foul call. Contact between Scott Williams and John Starks, waved off. Starks for 3. Rebound grab, 50 seconds to go in the half.
So Jordan tries to get a 2-for-1 situation here with 44 remaining on the clock. Get this shot and then get the last one of the half.
It's Rivers called for the personal.
Down in the post-up area, Jordan doesn't know whether he's going to get called for an offensive foul for backing into Rivers, or Rivers is going to get called for coming over the top. You can see Michael Jordan shrug up his shoulders for a second and wait to hear what the call was, whether it was going against him or for him. He got the benefit of the whistle that time.
At Riley's club now, trailing 61-43. The Bulls 19 of 20 from the line. Jordan is 12 for 12. He has 16 points with only 2 field goals. Also has 9 assists and 5 rebounds. So he's got it in other areas. 19-point Chicago lead, 25 seconds remaining in the half. Starks hesitated, looking for an open man. And it led to the turnover. And now Chicago will hold for a final shot. They come to their feet here at Chicago Stadium for the final seconds of the half. Jordan with the one-on-one. Rebound Williams. So that's the end of the first half with the Chicago Bulls in command, leading the New York Knicks 62-43. Michael Jordan with 16, although it has been a horrendous shooting first half for Michael, only 2 of 11. Scottie Pippen with 13. Patrick Ewing leading the Knicks with 15.
Okay, we'll talk about the Bulls and Knicks in just a moment and bring the whole panel in. But first, Peter Vecsey has an update on some of the coaching vacancies or possible vacancies around the league. Before the playoffs started, it was almost a foregone conclusion that Randy Fund was out with the Lakers. But, of course, they nearly upset the Suns. Now, how much has that changed the situation?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that how well they did against the Suns. It's more that Jerry West and Jerry Buss, the owner and general manager of the Lakers, don't want to recycle the same old suspects. So I believe Randy's going to be there for at least another year until somebody like Rick Pitino surfaces next year.
Lenny Wilkens, second winningest coach in league history, soon will overtake Red Auerbach, assuming he can find another spot. Where will it be?
Well, the deal is probably the Clippers. He's going for that big payday, but he's been discussing also with the Hawks. He's going to be talking also with the Pacers today, but I believe it will be the Clippers. My only question about this, Bob, is what coach has lasted 70 games, and that's how many he needs to overtake Red Auerbach for the all-time winningest coach, 70 wins. Which coach has lasted that long with the Clippers?
And he'd have to go 70-0 on the basis of that formulation, right? All right, the last guy who did coach the Clippers is Larry Brown. Is he in Indiana with his old buddy Donnie Walsh?
Well, they've been talking money, but there is definitely nothing set there. When you talk money, anything can happen. We saw that with Doug Collins with the Hawks. If the money's not there, he's not going to take it.
How about the Cleveland opening?
Well, the only thing I heard was originally it was Cotton Fitzsimmons. He got the first mention because his son is the personnel director. He's good friends with Wayne Embry. But I don't think that's a team that he wants to coach. I've heard Utah's Rick Majerus.
So Majerus coaching now in the college ranks with Utah. Used to be Marquette's head coach a while back, associated in the past with the Bucks organization. Might be coming back to the NBA. Definitely coming back in a big way in Game 3 are the Chicago Bulls. And even though Michael Jordan has 9 assists and he's 12 of 12 from the line, so he's made his contribution, he's 2 of 11 from the floor in the first half. You take him away, the Bulls, the rest of them, are shooting 71% in the half.
But the missing ingredient that they haven't had for a long time is John Paxson, who's got about 12 points. He's made the three-pointer. That's the guy that Michael Jordan is most comfortable playing with, getting the ball and just kicking it to him, and that's what they missed. In BJ, you had a guy who really wasn't aggressive, and Phil Jackson told BJ that he wasn't aggressive, and that's the reason they played Paxson more. The bench plays better at home. There's no question about it. They're much more confident. The fans have them involved. That's why the Bulls have played so well.
Of course the bench is going to play better at home. That's why they're bench players. But this is a horrible... It's a horrible game for the Knicks, the worst possible scenario, because not only are they getting their hats handed to them on the numerical side of the scoreboard, but this is the type of game that the Bulls walk off with a huge victory as if they're leading this series 1-2. But the Knicks, they have to show, like all championship teams do, that they can play with the lead from the very beginning on the road. Unless they can do that, they're in big trouble.
Is it true that Phil Jackson's trying to trademark this win? As we speak.
Inside references, you know, talk about needing to make a statement. They get 34 points in the first quarter. That's the most points they've had in any quarter against the Knicks, dating back to the very first quarter coached by Pat Riley as the Knicks coach against the Bulls. 67 consecutive quarters they had gone without scoring as many as 34 against a Knick defense that really had roughed them up and shut them down until they came out like gangbusters at the start here today. Let's find out. Are we done? We're done. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. If we weren't, well, you know, a little more conversation. But you hear that music, that means we're done. And we're sending things back to Chicago for the second half. The Bulls up by 19. We rejoin Marv Albert and Mike Fratello after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Welcome back to Chicago Stadium. Marv Albert with Mike Fratello. At halftime, the Bulls in command over the Knicks in Game 3 of the best of 7. And, Mike, I felt the Bulls came out in such spirited fashion. It turned the game right at the start. They used the energy of the trapping defense to get themselves going.
They did it with those areas that we talk about, the extra hustle and effort. 6 block shots in the first half for the Chicago Bulls, which in turn let them go down and score at a high percentage, shooting 54% from the floor. And then the Knicks, who were shooting 53 after the first 2 games, only 42% in the first half.
All right, the Knicks obviously having their difficulties in the first half. For more on the Knicks story, let's go downstairs to Hannah Storm.
All right, and with Knicks head coach Pat Riley, Michael Jordan only 2 field goals in the first half, but he's gotten his teammates involved. They have responded, unlike games 1 and 2. What sort of problems has that caused for you guys?
Well, we're a little too random defensively. We're all over the place, and we're only contesting about 31% of their shots. And if we don't get up into the shooters, they're going to have a lot of freedom to shoot the ball, so our defense just has to get a lot tougher.
You're down by 19 points at the half on the road, certainly a formidable obstacle to overcome. What sort of goal do you set for your team at this point?
Well, you got to play the game in 2 or 3 minute segments and keep winning those little segments, otherwise it's going to be a long day. But our defense has to step up, and we're going to go down into the low post. We have to get the ball down deep.
Okay, Coach, thanks. Marv?
Thank you, Hannah, and a look now at today's Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistics. The Bulls shot exceptionally well in the first half. 19 of 35, 54%, while the Knicks at 15 of 36 for 42%. Scottie Pippen, 5 out of 6 for 13 points. And the Bulls did it at the free throw line, in contrast to the Knicks, who were only 11 of 18. Look at Chicago, 20 of 21. Jordan did the bulk of his scoring at the foul line. He hit 12 out of 12, so 12 of his 16 have come via the free throw route. We'll be back in a moment.
John, back at Chicago Stadium now. I just got finished talking with Michael Jordan during halftime. He told me two things. One, he thought that his team was going to feed off the fury of this crowd they have. Another thing, he said that his jumper has not been falling, but he feels like his overall game is going very well. He feels like in the second half, as his jumper's not falling, he'll have to do other things like going to the basket. Mike, Marv.
All right, Ahmad. Michael Jordan, 2 of 11 from the field, 12 for 12 from the line, along with the 9 assists and 5 rebounds.
And 0 turnovers. And as Ahmad mentioned, if your jumper is not going, take it to the basket. 12 free throw attempts in 1 half for Michael Jordan.
And as we reported earlier, Michael Jordan spent last night in very peaceful fashion at his home watching television. To be precise, the Phoenix-Seattle telecast refused to talk before the game. You don't think the trip to Atlantic City last week prior to Game 2 was perhaps a lack of confidence in the Spectravision movie selection for the hotel room? Is that
a shot at Spectravision? Unfair shot.
Third quarter is underway. As Jordan works against Starks, went to the left hand, and it is still alive. Smith diving at it, tied up. Smith and Armstrong tie it up.
After Michael tries to go to the left hand to lay up the soft half jump attempt, he gets on the floor, keeps it alive. Actually, B.J. Armstrong, when he comes up with the jump ball, is out of bounds. They very easily could have given that ball to New York on a possession.
It'll be the 6'2" B.J. Armstrong giving away some 8 inches to Charles Smith. The officials confer with each other. They give the ball to the Knicks. Blue ball, said Steve Javie. And here's pressure by Armstrong against Rivers. They double up on Rivers. They trap him. Starks with a backcourt violation. He went front court to back.
That's because his 2 feet were in the front court. Now, when he takes off front court and lands back court, you cannot do that. You must establish position in the back court before you touch the basketball.
Phil Jackson starting this second half with Bill Cartwright, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen on the front line, B.J. Armstrong, and Michael Jordan in the backcourt. Jordan off the hesitation dribble. That's his 3rd field goal. He's 3 for 13. Bulls 64, Knicks 43. Charles Smith is playing with 3 personal fouls, as is Bill Cartwright.
We mentioned the scoring that went on by the other members of the team besides Michael Jordan. And the starting backcourt, when you look at that, 22-6 in favor of Chicago's backcourt, meaning that Jordan and B.J. have done a pretty good job defensively against Starks and Rivers. Jordan gets Starks back on his heels, which gives him a clean look at the front of the rim as he steps back and hits the jumper.
Starks is 1 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from the line. Rivers has attempted only 1 shot. He's 0 for 1. Shot clock at 7. Jordan unable to hit 2 in a row. He's 3 for 14. Double team on Smith. Rivers. The Knicks still having difficulty finding good shots. Armstrong. That was 2-point range. A 20 taken by the Knicks. B.J. Armstrong is 4 of 6 from the floor. The Bulls lead by 23. It matches their biggest lead of the game.
As Pat Riley had said, you set little mini goals for yourself and you try to get the score back into a manageable area where going into the 4th quarter, the team realistically thinks they have a chance of making a run. And they also understand that they're not a real high-scoring basketball basketball team, that Chicago's defense is a pretty good one. So you've got to get it close enough where when you say to your team, hey guys, we still got a chance of winning this thing, they honestly believe you.
Remember, the Knicks had at one point dropped 14 straight to the Chicago Bulls before upsetting the Bulls in Game 1 of last year's conference semifinals. Several assistant coaches added to the Bulls staff.
Yes, Michael Jordan backing up everything that Phil Jackson was saying in the timeout.
Following those 14 straight losses, the Knicks have beaten the Bulls in 7 of their last 12 meetings. Last year, the Knicks went 0-4 against Chicago during the regular season. Rivers. Nice drive by Doc Rivers. The Knicks took the Bulls in 7 games. Or rather, they took the Bulls to 7 games before losing in the Eastern Conference semifinals. And they lead in this series 2-0. Patrick Ewing was called for his third.
And after New York scored the drive by Rivers, you saw the transition hurry-up offense, something that Phil Jackson and his team worked on quite a long time 2 days ago, running one of the big people down the middle of the floor, taking a quick post-up spot before New York's defense could recover. That time, Grant got to the post area. Jordan advanced the ball up to the corner, and then from the corner, the quick feed pass into the post.
Grant only a 62% free throw shooter. Rivers having all kinds of problems shedding B.J. Armstrong. Ball 67, Knicks 45. So here are the Knicks having to work so hard to get toward the perimeter. Smith hit right there, but the Knicks are finding themselves with 6-7 seconds remaining on the shot clock before they're even able to look for a shot. And being forced to work very hard to get the ball across the midcourt line. Pippen with 5 on the 24. Blocked by Ewing. And it will be Knicks possession.
Patrick Ewing understands the shot clock's running down, that a shot has to get up there somehow, so he comes over, camps himself under the rim, and decides to pick up a block shot as Pippen just tries to get it up on the rim.
That was Ewing's first block of the day. Starks for 3. 3-on-2. Jordan in a collision with Starks, and a foul is called. Apparently the ball was knocked out of bounds. It'll be Nick Ball.
When Jordan puts it on the floor, New York's instructed to take away a path to the basket. 1 player, 2 players, 3 players, all in the way of Michael Jordan trying to get there. And even Charles Smith tries to hustle back in the end to get a little piece of the action.
Chicago with a 20-point lead. For Jordan, his first turnover of the game. Rivers on a quick release. Pippen recovers. Armstrong for 3. Armstrong and Paxson have provided this club with an enormous lift.
When things are going well, accidents happen, and they happen in your favor. Oakley takes the pass in, but misses the easy layup attempt. That was an accident, the last shot by Armstrong. It happened to wind up in his hands.
Charles Smith commits his 4th foul.
Chicago can feel it right now. They've got the throttle open all the way. No set plays, just get out and run. They've got New York back on their heels. They're playing off the crowd right now, playing off the excitement and energy here, and they are just taking what comes to them in the flow of this game.
Charles Smith sitting down, and he'll be replaced by Tony Campbell. Michael Jordan will get a rest. 18 points, 9 assists, although only 3 of 14 from the field. Early rest for Jordan with the Bulls up 71-47.
Perhaps Phil anticipating, looking ahead to the fact that if New York should close it down a little bit. He wants Michael fresh in the fourth quarter. We had mentioned earlier that he has struggled in the second half, shooting under 28% in the first two games against New York's defense, and then realize that there's only one day off between games. Phil resting him early here.
Pippen knocked it away. It's a 2-on-1. Armstrong alley-oops, and Davis, who just checked back in, was able to break it up. Nice play by the rookie from North Carolina.
B.J. Armstrong just didn't get the ball up high enough for Pippen to catch and convert. A little bit low on the toss.
John Starks does not like the hand check from Darrell Walker. Starks pushed him aside. Walker hears it from the crowd. Starks passed on the three and hits the two-pointer. John Starks with only his second field goal. He's 2 of 7. He has 7 points. Pippen turned it over.
If there's going to be a confrontation, you can bet that it would happen between Darrell Walker and John Starks, both very fiery players.
Timeout has been taken with 6:39 left in the third. Version of the Blues Brothers. Always a great scene here at Chicago Stadium, and the fans have certainly enjoyed what they have seen to this point, with the Bulls leading the Knicks 72-49, 6:39 remaining. In the third, Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Hannah Storm, and we're looking at a most unusual statistic. Michael Jordan, 3 of 14, and the supporting cast has done it today, 19 for 27, although, as we have mentioned, Jordan has done it in other areas.
Well, maybe another sign of the team rallying as the ball goes off of John Starks' foot against the pressure from Darrell Walker. Maybe another sign. Here's the pressure. Walker, who will bother you because he holds, he scratches, he scrapes, and there he frustrates John Starks. But the team rallying in the support of Michael Jordan, who is so upset with the criticism he received for his journey down to Atlantic City, but they showed him on the basketball court as well.
Pippen got the step. Oh, what a move. In traffic, Scottie Pippen does it off the dribble. The Bulls 74, and the Knicks 49. Tony Campbell with a rare appearance in the playoffs. Campbell fires. So Tony Campbell, who has appeared in only one playoff game, Game 3 against Indiana, making his first appearance against the Bulls. Did not play at all in the 5 games in the series against Charlotte. Campbell guarding Pippen. Pippen went to the left hand. Yes, it counts.
Scottie Pippen started out by making shots from the perimeter in the first half of the game. Now he changes up a little bit and shows you an assortment of drives to the basket to convert, and then coming across into the lane, even off balance after the foul takes place, still makes the basket.
Pippen will go to the line. Scottie is 3 of 3 from the line. 19 points. The Bulls 77. The Knicks 51. This represents the biggest lead of the game. Mason back to help out, handling the ball. They trap him. Here's Campbell for Ewing. 77-53. Patrick Ewing has 17. Cartwright, Grant, and Pippen on the front line, although Pippen will run the offense. Look out. Starks went barreling into Pippen, and then Starks in the face of Pippen, who just looks to walk away.
One of the things that Phil Jackson mentioned was New York tries to run over and run through every screen, and because most of New York's players are bigger and stronger in the positions, it's hard for Chicago to hold its ground. Even on the perimeter, John Starks tries to run through Scottie Pippen, puts his head down, knocks Pippen back about 5 or 6 yards, and then both players smart enough to avoid throwing any kind of punches, so they'll stick around for a few more games in the series.
Starks is third. Michael Jordan, who just returned, able to slice through. He was blocked by Davis. Hubert Davis, who grew up idolizing Michael Jordan, and then went on to be a star with the Tar Heels of North Carolina, came up with that rejection. A hard driving move by Starks. And we get a foul called against the Bulls.
The screen is set by Pippen. Starks lowers the shoulders, sets it right into the waist area of Scottie Pippen. Pippen's not real happy about it, but smart enough to turn away rather than start something. You must set solid screens against the New York defense because they will try to run through it and over the top of it.
A foul is called on Cartwright. 8 points now for Starks. Substitutions for the Bulls, Stacey King and Scott Williams, replacing Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright. Grant with 8 points. Cartwright has not scored. The Bulls lead by 23 with 4:40 to go in the third.
Bulls have gone to an open spread offense. They're trying to get Jordan against Tony Campbell, whether it be in the post or off the dribble. But the ball movement, which has been outstanding the entire afternoon by Chicago, gives BJ the shot.
Ewing with his second block, rejecting King. And look out. They're pushing and shoving. Things could get out of hand. The Knicks now are very frustrated. In contrast to what took place in games 1 and 2, where the Bulls from time to time would lose it, and the Knicks certainly have had more than their share of aggressive plays during the course of the season. Stacey King lost his man. 79-54. The Bulls with the commanding lead. Anthony Mason was fouled. Foul called on Tucker.
Marv, when you were growing up, you always felt a little bit bigger and stronger and tougher when you were in your neighborhood, challenging, other kids who would come into your area and try and take over your corner of the block. And when you had your guys behind you, so to say, when you're back in your own building with your fans, you feel a little bit tougher.
Yes, I would agree with that. You also feel you might get the benefit of the doubt on a call or two. That's why Pat Riley has made a big deal about the fact that he's so pleased to get the home court advantage. He feels should it go 7, that's where you want to be at home.
One thing I've really noticed the entire afternoon, Pat Riley has said not a word about any of the calls officiated. They're just out there playing the game of basketball.
And Ewing with the block. That's his third. So Patrick Ewing showing the outside touch. He has 19. The Bulls now lead 79-58. Jordan guarded by Campbell. And a foul is called. Jordan back to the line. He was hit by Tony Campbell.
Ewing, who does it at both ends of the floor for the New York Knicks, gets the block as Michael Jordan tries to finish it off and then steps out. Probably the best shooting big man in the NBA for the perimeter, Patrick Ewing.
Tony Campbell is first.
Rick Anthony has returned. Jordan is 12 for 12 from the line. Michael during the season, 84% at the free throw line. Such an unusual stat line here today for Jordan. 3 of 16 from the field and perfect at the line. He's hit all 14 for 20 points.
Well, if he could only get his field goal attempts from the foul line, he'd be cooking, wouldn't he?
They double up on Ewing. Tucker with the steal. Well, the one-time New York Knick, Trent Tucker, came from the blind side to script Patrick Ewing. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the third. Jordan off the hesitation. Jordan, oh, come on! Went short. Thought he was fouled. Back come the Knicks. The Bulls do come back on the transition. Davis hits the reverse. And the Knicks now trail 81-60.
I'm not sure if Michael felt he was fouled or if he just felt frustration that once he got to the point of getting the shot attempt off, he lost control of the basketball and couldn't convert what he felt was a shot very makeable for him.
Now Jordan. Squeezed by Campbell and Davis. Drew the foul once again. Knicks are over the limit, so it means 2 more free throws for Jordan. But first, a timeout call.
The shot back here at Chicago Stadium. I'm with Jerry Krause. And Jerry, so much talk about Tony Kukoc. What is that situation right now?
Well, hopefully sometime in July we'll be able to sit down, negotiate with Tony, and get something done. Meanwhile, he's in the area, as we say, and he's having his tonsils out this week, and he needed to do that. And certainly we're looking forward to the possibility of him joining our ball club next year.
All right,
We'd love to have him.
You were so concerned about him being physically able to play because he played so many games. Kind of weird that he found that the only thing wrong with him was his tonsils.
Well, he's really tired, Ahmad. He's only had 2 weeks. He's never had more than 2 weeks off in the last 7 years as a professional basketball player in Europe. So that we just want to make sure what his physical condition was. And he's been a player who's played a lot, but he's ready to go.
All right, rumors that he's in the stadium. Is he here?
No, he's not in the stadium today. He did not want to come. He did not want to offend or affect the game in any way, shape, or form. And certainly didn't want to be here now.
All right, before I offend my partner, Marv Albert, I better go back to it right now. Back to you, Marv.
Never, Ahmad. Tony Kukoc has been given until the 10th of June by Anthony hits a 3, and the Bulls now lead by 20. He had been playing with Benetton in the Italian League, and he's been given until June 10th by his Italian team to decide whether he will play with the Bulls or remain in Italy. And apparently that's the reason that he did undergo that physical at this time. Nice play. Jordan could not finish it off, and King is fouled by Ewing. That's 4 on Ewing.
A little backdoor cut by Michael Jordan coming off of the triple post offense. He misses the layup attempt, but the follow-up by Stacey King will produce the 2 free throws. Going back to the Kukoc situation, he was brought into Minneapolis, actually went to the Mayo Clinic, okay, where he had his physical examination. And because of the fact that he has to make this decision for Benetton, you cannot blame the Bulls for having a physical examination for a player that's going to cost them quite a bit of money down the road. Jerry Krause was accused by a number of people of trying to hide the fact that Kukoc was in the country and was in for a physical. All he was trying to do was protect this young man from the barrage of reporters that would have shown up to try to meet with him and talk to him, trying to help him out as he came in to take that physical.
There will be a revamping of this Chicago Bulls squad next year, probably sparked by the addition of Tony Kukoc. Loose ball foul is called. It's on Stacey King. That is his first.
The team's first in the last 2 minutes.
In fact, on Showtime tomorrow, preceding the Phoenix-Seattle game, there will be a close-up look at the revamping of the Chicago Bulls. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, hosted by Bob Costas. 1 minute left, 3rd quarter. Mason trying to operate against Williams, was pushed. Scott Williams called for his second. Both teams are over the limit, and Anthony Mason will go to the line. He's 3 out of 4 from the line. Bulls now have a front line of Stacey King, Scott Williams, along with the 3 guards, Michael Jordan, John Paxson, and Trent Tucker. Michael Jordan is now 3 of 18. Still a ways to go in the game. Things can turn, but this has to go down as one of his worst shooting performances. He had his troubles back in November against the Knicks. Remember that 4 for 20. But right here, 3 of 18, although he has 22 points and 10 assists. Shot wide at 5. Here's King. Williams! Stacey will say it was a pass, but it was a shot.
I was going to ask you, give him an assist on that one.
Bulls lead by 23. Half-minute left in the 3rd. Herb Williams. And Chicago will hold for a final shot of this 3rd quarter as they hear it from the crowd.
The small lineup was the team that opened it up early for the Bulls in the first half. Phil Jackson went with it. It produced.
Final seconds. King. And there's the horn ending the third quarter. After 3 in Chicago. The Bulls, 87. And the Knicks, 64. Jordan with 22, despite 3 of 18. And we'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. Festival, which is taking place at Grant Park, downtown Chicago. As we start the fourth quarter, a man who appreciates good jazz, Woody Allen, making the road trip. Seen frequently at Madison Square Garden. Woody does it on the clarinet from time to time. And I'm certainly not enjoying what he has seen from the Knick point of view. The Bulls with an 87-64 lead. Holding foul indicated by Jack Madden, called on Scottie Pippen. That is the third on Pippen. Pat Riley going with Tony Campbell, Herb Williams, Anthony Mason up front. He has Greg Anthony and Hubert Davis in the backcourt. Williams posting on King. Comes up short, and Scott Williams gets to it. Scott Williams on the front line with Stacey King and Scottie Pippen. Trent Tucker and John Paxson at the guards. John Paxson, one of the heroes for the Bulls here this afternoon. He's hit 4 out of 4, including 2 from downtown for 12 points. Pippen, foul.
I'm sure what you'll see Chicago try to do is if they have fast break opportunities, they'll take advantage of them. But if not, you'll see constant ball movement, player cutting, a little bit of freelance on their own. While Phil Jackson gives this second group basically an opportunity to get some minutes out here. Rest Grant, rest Michael Jordan, rest B.J. Armstrong. Always likes to have either Scottie Pippen on the floor or Michael Jordan to direct this basketball team. Pippen, who led his team and is the leading forward in the NBA in assists for the regular season. Michael Jordan has second most assists on the basketball team. So during the important times in the games, one of the two will always be out there for Chicago.
Pippen has 21 points. The Bulls have maintained this sizable lead throughout. 88-64 is the score. Shot clock at 5. And Davis is crunched. Well, one Tar Heel to another. And it's a flagrant foul. Scott Williams called for the flagrant.
The feeling here is that this may have been a little payback in retaliation for the foul that was delivered against Michael Jordan in the last game. The follow-through and the fact that the body goes to the ground is what determines whether or not they're going to call it a flagrant foul. So Hubert Davis will go to the free throw line, shoot the free throws, and then New York will take the ball out of bounds on the side.
Hubert Davis, the Knicks' #1 draft pick, a nephew of one-time NBA star Walter Davis. Michael Jordan lists Walter Davis and Julius Erving as his 2 favorite players when he was growing up. So Hubert hits 1 out of 2, and the Knicks maintain possession. We are just underway in the fourth quarter. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Hannah Storm from Chicago. Bulls trying to get back into the series. Anthony, that was a 3-point attempt. And Paxson races it down, and Williams was out of bounds when he took the ball from Paxson. No, wait a moment. They're changing the call on the public address. They just said Chicago ball.
What Hugh Evans did is he said blue, called it blue ball, but he pointed the wrong way. That's all. So got a few people confused out on the floor. They were heading the other direction, but he was still saying blue the entire time. He knew what he meant. Nobody else did.
Bulls went 57-25 during the regular season, a patched out regular season run with all kinds of injuries, at times lack of motivation. Foul on Paxson. In the playoffs, the Bulls on top of their game and sweeping through Atlanta in 3. They swept Cleveland in 4, but against the Knicks, it had been a different story. They lost games 1 and 2 in New York, but have turned it here this afternoon with a furious effort, and was sparked by the trapping defense that bothered the Knicks at the start of the game. And they have jumped to that big lead and have never been headed. Oh, King and Ewing looking to go. Patrick Ewing and Stacey King having words. Now Pippen and Campbell. Mason is over. Scott Williams gets between.
The whole incident started as Ewing was fighting for position down low. He brought his arm up high, and King was hit in the face. He did not like that. That started the pushing and shoving. Pat Riley making sure that he gets Patrick Ewing out of there so nothing else takes place. Fighting for position. Ewing brings the arm up and catches King in the face right there with the arm. He doesn't like it, a little push and shove, and then it escalates from there.
And the officials discussing the incident, deciding how to handle it. There were no punches thrown. A lot of words, some contact with pushes and shoves. The officials over to the scorer's table. They are trying to determine what technicals will be called. And when we come back, we'll take a break. We'll have the rundown of the foul calls. Of this melee, the end result, double technicals on Patrick Ewing and Stacey King, and a personal foul called on King.
Things heated up out on the floor after the contact by Ewing. Then more and more of the players got involved as they came off the bench in an attempt to break the incident up. Even Johnny Bach, the assistant coach, that old Marine mentality, walks on in and says, wait a minute, let me straighten this thing out, as Starks cuts him off on his way out there. But John Bach still will pursue it. Tough little rascal.
Starks lost the dribble. Michael Jordan is back. So the matchup is Jordan and Starks. You know, Michael Jordan is 2 rebounds away from a triple-double. Could be the worst shooting triple-double in the history of the NBA. He is 3 of 18, but he has 10 assists and 8 rebounds. Off the deflection, Davis with the steal. Here's Starks with Jordan back. And let's see what the call is. Offensive foul.
So you mentioned, Marv, that he's 3 of 18, but there's a few other things he's done out here on the floor this afternoon to help his team to this 88-65 lead over the New York Knicks.
Starks called for his 4th. Because he was flipped, looked like he got scratched by Starks, and he was very upset about it. Starks with his 5th foul, and also called for a technical. And they continue on. Jordan wanted to go at him, and they're trying to calm Starks down. Starks has been thrown out. John Starks has been ejected. Michael Jordan also called for a technical, but Starks has been tossed.
Pat Riley wants to take John Starks out the other way. Instead of going out of the arena, the end that the Knicks normally go out, Pat Riley says just get him downstairs, get him away from the crowd, let him walk underneath the arena back to the Knicks locker room. Reminiscent of when Starks headbutted Reggie Miller and other Knicks in trying to swipe the ball. Michael's got something to say, and then it continues to go from there. Steve Javy immediately with the technical foul against John Starks.
Michael Jordan, 16 for 16 from the line.
After they had broken up initially, now they went back after each other again, and this is what Michael Jordan almost goes after him. Fortunately for Chicago, he's held back. Fortunately for New York, Rivers and Ewing can get the Starks and hold him back.
Michael Jordan was one free throw made away from tying an NBA playoff record. Most free throws made, none missed in the playoffs, shared by one-time Chicago Bull Bob Love and Gail Goodrich. Goodrich has been on fire. He's 8 for 10. He has 23 points. Goodrich and Love each went 17 for 17. So Jordan hit his first 16 and then missed. King with the steal. Here's Paxson for 3. And it's kicked out by Pippen. 8:36 remaining in the game. The Bulls with a 90-65 lead on the Knicks. John Starks has been ejected. The final numbers on Starks: 2 of 7 from the field, 3 of 6 from the line, 8 points. Not a good one for John Starks, coming off the excellence in games 1 and 2. Tony Campbell with his second field goal, and the Bulls lead by 23. Paxson. Now Jordan being guarded by Davis. And the call made away from the ball.
Anthony Mason with that right arm wrapped around the waist of Scott Williams. They will not let you wrap an arm around the waist. I spoke with Darryl Garrettson, the head of officials, earlier this morning and tried to clear up exactly what is allowed and not allowed down there in that post area as far as handshaking goes, something that the Bulls have been complaining about quite a bit. There's a misinterpretation by people, as there's a travel by Stacey King. There's a misinterpretation that you cannot put your hand in the back of an offensive player down low. That is incorrect. You're allowed to have a hand in there so that the offensive guy can't back you down. It's the amount, the extent of what goes on with those hands, and whether you basically are impeding the progress to the basket. That's what determines the call by the official.
And one of the complaints of Phil Jackson was the fact that John Starks was getting away with the excessive hand checks and the 2 hands on Michael Jordan right throughout. Stacey King called for the foul, his 3rd. And Patrick Ewing will go to the line.
To me, the post area, one of the toughest calls for officials to make in the league, because the offensive guy wants to establish low post position. He wants to back the defensive man down. The defensive man is trying to hold his spot and not allow the offensive guy. So who gets there first? Who establishes the position first? All these things are factors in determining what's called down in that post area. And then probably the bottom line is you need good judgment, understanding what the game's all about when you make those calls.
The Bulls 90, Knicks 69. 7:35 remaining in the game. Paxson came around a pick, but Mason jumped out at him. Shot clock at 3. Paxson. Yes. 14 for John Paxson. The Bulls 92, the Knicks 69. And Hugh Evans with the foul call.
In the first 2 games against New York in this series, John Paxson was 1 out of 4 from the floor, shooting 25%. He is 5 out of 6 here this afternoon.
And that is a season high for John Paxson. Greg Anthony was fouled by Scott Williams. Here's Horace Grant replacing Williams. And Charles Oakley has not been on the floor for some time. Checks back in. Oakley, Mason, and Ewing up front. Anthony Campbell. Campbell in a big guard position. Just under 7 minutes remaining of the game. Bulls seeking their first victory in this best of 7 to cut it to 2-1 with Game 4 on Monday afternoon, and we'll bring it to you right here on NBC. With the shot clock running down, it's an offensive foul called on John Paxson, who was battling to get the shot off. Timeout taken. We'll be back in a moment. Reminder, our NBA playoff coverage will continue tomorrow afternoon, starting 3 o'clock Eastern Time with NBA Showtime. Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns, who took the 2-1 lead with a victory last night, going up against the Seattle Supersonics. 3 o'clock Eastern Time for the Sonics and the Suns. We'll be back with you on Monday afternoon, also 3 o'clock Eastern Time with Showtime. Game 4 between the Knicks and the Bulls. Off the steal. Jordan went by Campbell. 6:20 remaining in the game. Chicago's had the comfortable lead throughout, and they're up here 92-69. Grant off the beautiful look-away pass from Jordan. And Horace Grant will go to the line. Fouled by Anthony Mason. That's 4 on Mason.
It's the one thing that Michael Jordan has been doing here this afternoon that really has New York's defense out of sync, is his ability to keep him guessing which way he's going with the pass when he comes off that two-man game, the pick-and-roll situation. They can't decide whether he's coming back where he just came from to the screener, stepping back to the jumper, or is he going to fake that way, look that way, and then fire into the heart of the defense under the rim in the lane area, which he did this last time to Grant.
You know, Czar has really enjoyed the telestrator work this afternoon. I think it's by far the best that you've done.
I'm waiting for the
3 years of your NBC affiliation. Just superb on the screen.
It was sick. The telestrator was sick today, so it will be better for the next broadcast.
John Paxson called for the foul. A little technical difficulty, I'm told. So we were czarless, so to speak, from a technical point of view. Tony Campbell with his 5th point. Tony Campbell spent 3 years with Detroit, first-round pick of the Pistons back in '84. 2 years with the Lakers, a member of a Laker championship team coached by Pat Riley. 3 years with Minnesota. Last year averaged just under 17 a game to lead the Timberwolves in scoring. Started the season in the starting lineup with Charles Smith coming back from injuries. Did not play well. And then as Pippen fires and hits again. And then not only lost the starting job, but was out of the rotation. But his work habits were such that he continued to gain the respect of his teammates and coaches. He was always ready and then contributed later on in the season. Mason, basket counts. It is a goaltender. Jack Madden with the indication. Mason gets credit for the field goal. But Pat Riley has had terrific things to say about the attitude of Tony Campbell, who was able to hang in despite the fact that he did not get the playing time. I mean, he's a guy who has been accustomed in recent years to seeing the minutes.
When you come to a Knick game, Tony Campbell is one of the players who's out there about 2 hours, 2.5 hours prior to the start of the game on the road. He's at the arena shooting on the floor before the rest of the team has even gotten on the bus to come over. So he's willing to put the time and work in to get his minutes whenever they may come.
So the ball back to Chicago. Here's Trent Tucker for Michael Jordan, receiving a standing ovation. Patrick Ewing departs, leaves with 21. Patrick not a factor here this afternoon. 7 for 13, 7 of 8 from the line, 9 rebounds, 3 blocked shots. Nice stats to look at, but the Knicks from the first quarter on were not in it.
Once you fall behind as many points as they did early in the game, as a coach, Pat Riley constantly searching for ways to get him back into the game, so it winds up taking you out of sync, out of what you had wanted to do, get you out of the normal pattern of how you play best and trying to catch back up.
Mason able to work his way inside. The Bulls 96, Knicks 75. 4:20 left in the game. This has to be one of the most unusual games in terms of statistics for Michael Jordan. 22 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, couple blocks, but 3 of 18 from the field. Mason call for his 5th, and Pippen will go to the line.
Whatever it might be that takes, it sometimes takes one incident to turn a team around, to get a team back united once again. But perhaps it was the rallying around the Jordan situation, going to Atlantic City. The team then refused to talk to the media after practice yesterday as John Paxson leaves the floor, and the crowd acknowledging the fact that this is something they've been waiting for, something needed badly by this Bulls team, the return of John Paxson.
Are you saying that Michael's going to be chartering to Atlantic City tomorrow? Is this the...
To rally him again for game number 4? No, I don't believe so.
It's a 22-point Chicago lead. Anthony to the reverse. Mason. Oakley lost it. Mason again. Won't count. Offensive foul. So Mason is fouled out. Anthony Mason, 12 points, 5 rebounds. And 40 seconds remaining in the game. Armstrong, played by Anthony. Armstrong blocked. And King is there. 6 points for Stacey King. The Bulls 99 and the Knicks 75. Little miscommunication between Anthony and Oakley.
I was almost going to say that the last time down the floor, Chicago was a little out of sync with this combination. Then New York comes right back down, and just when Greg Anthony thinks that Oakley will be there at the top of the circle, Oakley's on his way down the street to somewhere, they're out of sync as well.
Horace Grant replaced by Will Perdue. Solid game for Horace, 10 points. Came out strong. Eric Anderson, the rookie from Indiana, making his first appearance this series. Pippen doing it from all angles. 28 for Scottie Pippen. He's hit on 10 of 12 from the field.
When Mason fouled Pippen last time, the shot that he threw up as a Hail Mary almost went in. This one that he throws up after he hears the whistle does go in. He's getting all the bounces today. His stroke is beautiful this afternoon as he really feels it with his shooting touch.
Scottie Pippen, one of 5 Bulls in double figures. He has 29, Jordan 22, Paxson 14, Armstrong 11, Grant with 10. Just a solid all-around performance by the 2-time defending NBA champion Chicago Bulls. Here is Davis. Hubert Davis with his second field goal. Mike, you look at this game, and there are similarities to what took place in Game 7 of last year's playoff, where the Knicks had played the Bulls so well. They were tied with 3 going into the final game, and the Bulls won convincingly, 110 to 81. Here's Davis off the steal. And Perdue comes away with it. Back comes Anthony. Campbell, met by Perdue. Tony Campbell. So we have hit extensive garbage time. The Bulls with that healthy 102-79 lead, and we're now just under 2 minutes remaining in the contest.
A few differences about that Game 7 a year ago is that after that one, it was over for the New York Knicks. Here, Pat Riley will go back, talk to his team about the fact that, hey, it's one loss. They've got to come back again and just play better in game number 4. I'm sure they'll go over the problems that they had this afternoon. Biggest thing was dealing with the energy level, the excitement that the Chicago Bulls came out and played with. They'll have to match that in the next game.
Minute 43 left of the game. We'll be right back.
That presents Genuine Moments.
This Miller moment takes us back to the 1972 finals when the Knicks took on the Lakers. 6'8" Phil Jackson battling with the Lakers' Pat Riley. This is truly vintage footage. Riley and the Lakers would eventually capture the title, beating the Knicks 4-1. The two met the following year in the finals, and the Knicks would capture that title. That's the 72-73 season. In recognition of these moments, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund.
Not only were Pat Riley and Phil Jackson in on that little segment, but so was Jack Madden, the referee.
Yes.
Gentlemen calling a clean block under the basket.
Time standing still. A minute and 40 remaining in the game. The Bulls 103, the Knicks 79. Tony Campbell. Herb Williams on the back tap. And Eric Anderson. Anderson hits the score sheet, and the Bulls now lead 103-81. This is a game that has certainly had its incidents. Patrick Ewing had words with Stacey King. Darrell Walker blocked by Herb Williams. Crowd looking for a goaltend. And we had Michael Jordan and John Starks involved. And Starks was ejected, hit with technical fouls. A number of heroes today for the Bulls. Spark provided by the likes of Scottie Pippen, John Paxson, Horace Grant. Michael Jordan did not do it with the jump shot. Only 3 of 18 overall, but 22 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds. And the Bulls have managed to get back into this series. Hubert Davis, that is 2-point range. 7 points for Davis. High man for the Knicks today, Patrick Ewing. The Knicks not able to dominate off the boards. They had a slight edge. And the Knicks were bothered by the Bulls' trapping defense. That set the tone early. The Knicks never did recover.
Day before yesterday, Chicago went through a 4-hour practice from the time they first got there to when they finally finished up. A lot of running, a very aggressive practice, a lot of defensive pressure all over the floor. It paid off this afternoon.
Yes, it pays off with a convincing Chicago Bulls victory. Final score, the Bulls 103 and the Knicks 83. Bulls get it going away. They led by as many as 27. They shot 48% for the game. Let's go to Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. Michael, one of the things you talked about is getting this team turned on with this crowd behind you. The team intensity was a lot bigger today.
Well, I felt we needed some home cooking, and we came in and the crowd inspired us. John hit some big shots. Everybody else stepped up and hit their shots. I missed mine, but, you know, I'm glad I got teammates.
No, you didn't play. I mean, you didn't shoot extremely well, but you did a lot of other things just to get everybody involved.
That's what I tried to do. When I saw that my shot was not going, I just tried to help out and be a decoy and move the ball around and get it to guys like John.
All right, John. I know this had to be a good win for you today. You've been sore legs and shot went awry somewhere down the season, and now all of a sudden you bring it back.
Well, we're just trying to move the ball. Our barometer for this thing is to score 100 points. We feel if we can get to 100, we're going to win the game, and we need guys off the bench who can make a few baskets. Today it was really a team effort. We really did a good job.
Did you feel like all that negative publicity about Michael going down to Atlantic City really pulled you guys together this week?
Yeah, we take that personally. It's we're a team. We've been a team a long time, and when you attack one of ours, we got to bond together. It's the only thing we have, and I think it showed today on the floor.
All right, congratulations. Good luck to you on Monday. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad Paxson, 5 of 7, 14 points. Hitting the jump shot, hit 2 from downtown. The high man, Scottie Pippen. Pippen led the way with 28 points. Michael Jordan with 22. as the Bulls defeat the Knicks 103-83. Knicks now lead this best of 7, 2 games to 1. We'll be back here in Chicago after these words. To Chicago, where the Bulls have knocked off the Knicks in convincing style, 103-83, and now the Knicks and the Bulls look to Game 4 here on Monday afternoon. And the Knicks, during the course of the season, didn't see the trapping defense that frequently, but they were vulnerable to it, in particular that Christmas night game here in Chicago, and we saw it again here today. How does Pat Riley defend against that trapping defense on Monday?
Chicago could not use the trapping defense as much as they wanted to during the course of the year because of the injuries to key players. And Phil Jackson had hoped to just get the guys back and be able to practice long enough, get them in shape to use it throughout the playoffs because it's such a valuable weapon for them. They produced 20 turnovers by trapping and pressing New York all over the floor. So I would think one thing Pat Riley will talk about once again is how they want to attack Chicago's press, and then trying to keep your composure with the crowd of 20,000 people screaming and yelling when they come out for Game 4.
And that of significance because this crowd was really into it at the start. It was a furious pace, and as we told you right at the start, the Bulls were very pleased with the fury, as they put it, the fury of the crowd. So the Knicks lose by 20, 103-83. Monday, they'll be here in Chicago, 3:30 Eastern Time, Showtime at 3, and then there will be a Game 5 in New York on Wednesday. We'll be bringing it to you on NBC starting at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. If necessary, Game 6 in Chicago, Game 7 at Madison Square Garden in New York. For Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Hannah Storm, I'm Marv Albert. When we come back, we'll rejoin Bob Costas at our New York studio.
Well, if somebody told you Jordan would shoot 3 for 18 and this would be a 20-point game, you'd have to think it would go the wrong way for Chicago. But they are back in it now, trailing 2-1 after winning 103-83. Now, on the pregame show, Peter visited with the Knicks' John Starks. Maybe you saw it, and you may recall an exchange between Peter and John concerning Starks' volatility, which puts it mildly. It's particularly pertinent in light of the skirmish he got into with Michael Jordan. Take a look.
You know, I've always been a very emotional person as well as a player. So it's all about controlling that side of me. Sometimes I let it get away, take the best of me, and let it get out of hand. But the majority of the times, I think I'm doing a better job, especially this year, in controlling it.
Does your wife talk to you about it?
All the time.
Does Riley talk to you about it?
All the time.
Check-ins?
All the time.
The commissioner?
Everybody. So, you know, my wife, she gets on me sometimes. She says she want to come out on the court sometime and just grab me and tell me to calm down.
She's worried about that security, John.
That's true. She worried about all the money going to the league.
Well, he has a postseason ejection percentage of about 17-18%. He's been tossed out of 2 of 12 playoff games.
He's not the reason they lost today, but, you know, it's clear that part of their game plan is to goad him into doing something irrational. The kid is independently irresponsible. How's that?
But you know what he reminds me of, not talent-wise. Isaiah Thomas is like that. They've got that same kind of syndrome. When people play on emotions like that, and they're not able to control them, they find themselves in these in precarious positions where he gets thrown out of this game. You can't afford to let your emotions control you, even though emotions are a big part of any kind of championship.
Volatility is very important in basketball, but it has to be controlled. I think Starks and Mason, whoever else is going to get involved in this kind of stuff, you can't wait till you're down 20. If you're going to do something like that, do it at the start of the game and get your skills involved right away. Don't wait till the game's over.
How do you size up what remains?
Well, I just want to know how soon it's going to be after this game that Pat Riley starts complaining, whimpering about the officiating and the style of play that the Bulls are playing.
I think psychologically for the Knicks, they got spanked real good here. Now this is the real test for them. The Bulls could come back from this vice versa because they're a championship team. The Knicks have not been in this position before where they've been favored to come out winners in terms of the series, but now they're down a game where they got beat decisively. I think they're going to struggle.
All right, of course, Game 4, as Marv told you, will be on Monday afternoon. Memorial Day starts at 3 Eastern Time here on NBC. Here's the lineup tomorrow. 3 hours of coverage from the French Open beginning at noon Eastern Time. We'll see the men's two-time defending champ Jim Courier. Then at 3 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow, our coverage of the conference finals continues with Game 4 out west between Phoenix and Seattle. Suns leading 2-1 after taking the third game on the road last night. Tonight on NBC, it's almost home, which describes our circumstance here as these guys mics off and head for the doors. Nurses, Empty Nest, Mad About You, and then the series premiere of Black Tie Affair. For Quinn Buckner, Peter Vecsey, and Bill Walton, this is Bob Costas. We'll see you tomorrow. The Bulls are back in it, down 2-1, but they win today by 20. So long.